Hello everyone and welcome to another horrific review. I'm joined by Mark and Flea as we continue our look at the Alien franchise with Prometheus. Released in 2012, this film tells of a group who are following the clues to the origin of mankind and find themselves on a distant moon. However, they soon realise that they aren't alone. This movie was made on a budget of $130 million and brought in $403.4 million at the box office. And we were about to get stuck in this before we went live. It was like, so much to say, so much to say.
What a great film.
Well, can we start with the positive?
Oh, hold on. We'll have the official. Sorry. There's
the official. Notes, of course.
Right, that's it. Right. Sorry. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everyone.
Right. Positive thoughts. Positive thoughts. Chopin's Raindrops Prelude is a wonderful piece of music.
Very nice piece of music. And
after the film finishes and it just comes up at the start of the ending credits, totally worth waiting.
Now, see, I don't know if it maybe it's an average piece of music, and it's just because it's on the end of this film and signifying the end of this film that you just appreciate it more. Maybe I don't know.
You're saying it could have been the German national anthem and we'd have still cheered.
No, we're going to say something positive. I
like the start of this movie. I have to say, the beginning of this movie. Yeah. And the build-up, I was actually invested, and it just reminds me of it being in the cinema. And feeling exactly the same thing. Oh wow, this could be cool.
Yeah, it was the visuals, particularly those visuals at the start as we're kind of sweeping over primeval Earth or whatever. Amazing, just looks absolutely incredible. And I think through the whole film, there's not perhaps a scene in the film that looks bad.
That's pretty.
It all just looks.
It is a really
incredible.
It's like the visuals, the cinematography, the special effects, absolutely brilliant.
The Prometheus itself is an amazing looking bit of hardware, isn't it? It's and very well realized. I like the way it had been all put together, the sets inside it and everything. I think it looked really, really good. So anyway, that's the positive out of the way. Let's
talk about the movie.
Like 1 minute and 30 seconds in the negative.
On another positive, this channel has just reached 500 subscribers. We have hit the
benchmark. Yay! Nice. Congratulations.
So that's actually somebody had to tell me because I hadn't logged on yet and I was getting messages. Congratulations. I'm like, what? Have I done it? Holy shit, right?
Lottery win.
So first of all, before we begin, everyone who's joined us, welcome and thank you. Honestly, it's great. And everyone that's stayed with us, thank you again. It's great to have support. Honestly, just doing what we do and haven't done anything different, but a lot of folks have just jumped on board, especially in the last month. Like things have really taken off, so I'm really stoked with that. So anyway, just to celebrate, here is a wee discount code. I'll put it in the chat. If you want to visit our merch store and get 20% off, this is available until the 6th of July. So have at it. Just our wee thank you to you. So there you go. Right. There's all the plug because we're about to start bitching now for 2 hours. So I thought we'd start off being happy.
Do you mean we're not going to be happy in a few minutes?
Oh, yeah. We're going to be laughing.
I mean, we're going to be happy.
There's going to be a lot of laughter.
I think so.
Right. First of all, I feel sorry for Noomi Rapace because this was her first entry into Hollywood.
This
was potentially her last.
And
she was only one tran.
The legend has it that when she was given the offer to play Elizabeth Shaw, she couldn't actually speak English, so she learned to speak. She learned English specifically for this film.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I heard that too.
Wow.
Yeah, because she's Swedish and she's obviously the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Dragon tattoo, yeah. And she was, universally applauded for her portrayal of Elizabeth Salander, wasn't she? I mean, in regards to that, though, I mean, she did have the advantage of having the only sympathetic character in the film to play.
Yeah.
Everybody else was an absolute asshole. Which is no, actually that's a lie because the crew of the Prometheus, the bridge crew of the Prometheus, they actually come across as being reasonable human beings. and so there's quite a large cast to the film, I guess, in that regard. Mostly
It was screaming slasher to me, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you were. It was one of those things where you can, you're dead. Yeah, you'll be dead in a minute. Yeah, you'll be dead.
It's like, what's this bloke's name? Don't know. He's going to be dead in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't help. The only one that I can really remember, well, apart from Shaw and David, the only one that whose name I can remember is Fifield, who was the biggest.
I do rocks, man, rocks.
I'm sorry, but are you dissing what could possibly be the best character in the film?
Now
it's like, this
sounds like a hill that somebody's going to die on.
Yeah. Mr. Randomly antagonistic for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Even on the Prometheus itself before it lands.
I can kind of understand that, because I mean, I know what I'm like being woken up by someone after 8 hours, so I should have think what I'd be like being woke up after like 2.5 years.
I'm a grumpy bastard in the morning.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was
give me my Greg's, my cup of coffee, leave me alone for 10 minutes,
and I'm good.
Yeah. Just put the caffeine drip in; it'll be all right. But it's kind of like, I mean, I actually think the guy who played Fifield, I actually think that bit when he first woke up and he came over and he ad-libbed it, but he accidentally let his true feelings about the movie out. You know, the money. I'm only here for the money.
Yeah, it turns out
I think that was like 90% of the cast. The only one that had a career was Louis Rapace. Everyone else is just like,
yeah.
I mean, we're going to mention, I think the term lazy writing is going to be mentioned quite a lot from me this evening, but I thought Fifield's introduction is probably some of the worst I've seen in quite some time.
I was on board, right? I was invested in the story. The Prometheus takes off.
Yeah,
we get the briefing. Fifield speaks, and I'm like,
and that's it. Oh, that's where we're going.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
It did come across. It's like the five of you meet in a tavern. You do not know each other. An old man walks through the door. They've captured the princess. What shall we do? Barbarian number one jumps up. I'm only in this for the money. I've just been woke up. I'm only in this for...
Yeah, it was very, very strange. And you kind of think, well, like, okay. You put together a team to go and do this exploration, so you're going to choose the most random group with clearly attitude problems or whatever. And you're going to spend $1 trillion, I think, $1 trillion to send this mission off. And this is the best you could do. Maybe it was only $1 trillion. Maybe that was it. Maybe we've gone back to that whole.
Maybe
actually these aren't very good. Yeah, but
because Wayland wants to. And if you didn't see Wayland was on this ship, I don't know what to tell you. If that wasn't telegraphed from like minute one that he was going to be on the ship, I really don't know. I can't help you.
Yeah, I mean, as the big twist,
I reckon Vickers stowed away in his cabin. Because I think the whole idea was they were going to go to this planet, meet with the engineers who were going to like rejuvenate Wayland in some kind of way and make him young again. Then he was going to use that cabin with the medivac thingy and its ability to be used as a life ship for him to travel back to Earth in, so he could become Space Jesus.
But his motivation again. It's as probably as well written as Fifield's introduction, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I hate to say this, right? But Lance Henriksen did a better job in Aliens versus Predator.
Yeah.
Possibly. I hate to make those sort of statements.
You know it's like wait, Colin making like positive noises about Aliens versus Predator. What is this?
Well, no, I mean
it's more of a shiniest third scale. You know, the shiny.
Just remember, if you polish a turd, you'll still get your hands dirty.
It's going to haunt me the rest of my life now. That's what we clipped and used against me. I'm done.
I just think that the motivations, the whole, oh, I want to be young, I want to be immortal, kind of from the rich guy. Isn't that a little bit overdone? Even by 2012, that whole motivation, it just seems so cliche. And I feel bad because Guy Pearce is a really good actor.
I'm like, wait, Prometheus isn't cliche.
No, that's the problem. But it's almost as if they tried to. They looked at every science fiction cliche you could ever possibly imagine and thought, yeah, that's going in. That's going in. Yeah.
It's like there's always room for another nail in the coffin.
Yeah. So, I never quite understood David's motivations either, as we're on characters. I couldn't quite. Now, I've not seen like the deleted scenes.
Me neither.
Right. I thought you were going to say the other one because it's like, oh, we have such sights to show you. Your suffering will be legendary.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait to see Angie's reaction to that one. To be quite honest,
this is good.
Yeah, but yeah. So
oh god, I've got to watch that.
Could anybody explain to me what David's actual motivations were?
And even the deleted scene, David's mission made no sense. Like even the deleted scenes in this don't help. There's a particular scene of David's mission, and it's just Charlize Theron talking and gibbering, and him going, "Have you completed your mission?" "Yes, I have," and we're none the wiser.
Right, because there's mention of that in the actual release that they have on Disney at the moment, which is the one I watched. That there is a moment where Charlize Theron gives away the fact that that Wayland is on the ship by talking. Yeah,
like
blinking you miss it.
Nobody saw that coming. No,
blinking you miss it. So that kind of happens, but I was never really clear, and because Holloway has a conversation with David as well, and is it Holloway or is it Shaw, where he's basically saying, doesn't everybody want to kill their parents?
So
I was thinking, well, Rucker, I don't get what's going on here. Is he trying? What was he doing? Can anybody tell me? Because
no. Because it's kind of like,
I'm not just being.
No, I can't, because it's kind of like he's kind of like, considering David's not meant to have any kind of emotion. He's unable to. He can only do what he's told. He's unable to do anything under his own violation.
Okay. He's effectively a prototype. Why is he more advanced than?
I don't understand what he's doing. Because it's kind of like why kind of like give whatever his name is, the black fluid in that glass of champagne.
Oh, Holloway, yeah, gives Holloway Well, it seems. I mean, that bit maybe I can understand. I just don't know why. I get what he was trying to do.
If you're gonna experiment in humans, maybe not your science team on the ship, maybe under controlled conditions on a penal colony. You know, when you've secreted the stuff and got it all nice and secured, you don't start experiment as you're gathering the stuff. That's a wee bit
Alien 3 remake right there.
You know,
no, I mean Alien 3 may have made more sense than anything that happened in Prometheus. To be fair,
I am liking Alien 3 more the longer we're going down this road.
I mean, and I think
films are very forgiving.
Alien 3 has its problems, but Alien 3 isn't a bad film. It works with what it has, unlike Prometheus, which is kind of like, right, Prometheus is a good film. Unfortunately, it's been chopped to pieces and mixed in with another good film.
You keep saying that, and then you can contradict yourself. It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to point out that
honest it is.
That Phil should have been with us this evening. I hope you're feeling better soon, Phil. And he was going to be the balance, the balancing factor here. And unfortunately,
he was going to balance the force.
I'd just like to point that out. Now you're just going to have to suffer three middle-aged guys just ranting about how bad this film is.
Balancing the force is balancing the farce. The farce being Prometheus.
Yeah, it was. Yes. So there we never quite clear on David's motivations. Never quite clear on Vickers' motivations either, except that everybody just seems to want to kill Wayland, maybe, potentially.
I mean,
Or do they?
Meredith Vickers anyway as a character
Yeah.
in this.
I like Vickers.
Like, what actual purpose? She was shiny, okay, right?
She was shiny. It's like, ooh,
And she like
on. I mean,
It's one of those situations where if you took her character out of the film, it would make no difference to the story.
The only thing I noticed that actually kind of like alludes to Vickers is the bit where she walks in to see Wayland, and he's like, "Oh, you came along after all, did you?"
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
And you're like, really? Did people just jump on these like spaceships? Did people just jump on board? Like, it's not. This thing hasn't been planned for years.
Yeah. That,
you know what I mean? With like absolutely loads of investment.
I mean,
and planning and
there may be an explanation for that, of course, because he knows he's only got days to live, so he's constantly being frozen, isn't he? I think that was the implication. So he's not always awake. Most of the time, he's in suspended animation.
He was able to last 50 odd years, like kind of a less advanced, less trippy.
Yeah, and so that's why I think Wayland is in. Oh,
as much. If you got a less drippy one, would you have like just stick him in the freezer, leave him there?
Well, I think that was the point. Is that's what they had done, but they've let him out obviously to communicate with the engineer because the engineer was going to make him young again.
But he can't.
No.
David has to communicate to way on freezing. That was an absolutely pointless journey.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Like, he could have just stayed in his little freezer cubicle.
Yeah.
And everyone went and did their things and brought him back the information.
In fact, that would have been a lot safer, wouldn't it?
It could have just left him
kind of meeting an alien race.
Science gets to the part where they can cure whatever it is that's killing him. I mean, in that case, it can just be like Walt Disney. You know,
oh god, do you remember the 90s crowd freezing people?
Oh yeah, where they're freezing people's heads.
I want my head frozen because so I can come back as an overlord. And then Futurama did a whole parody of that. That's
and then Prometheus comes along and says, here we go. Oh dear. So so in terms of Vickers being there, maybe he was in suspended animation and she decided she was coming along on the trip. I can maybe buy that. Maybe
she was kind of like twisting enough so that maybe she wanted to be there so she could just laugh in his face when it was proven wrong.
I mean,
because
here are my two comparisons in today's world.
Okay,
either A, going on to an oil rig, or B, the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just jump on either of those two. There's kind of like, even to go on an oil rig, right? You have to do survival training and you have to actually have a purpose because there's limited space, etc.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just go for a jolly. You don't just nip up to the International Space Station and pop in for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's
just nip up to the International Space Station on the best stateroom that is there.
Did someone pay to go to the International Space Station, though?
No, maybe you could. Maybe you could. But
even somehow that's a whole. You don't just jump on one more, and nobody knows that you're there. There's a whole thing. Technically, you could pay. Like, who was it paid to go into space and float for a bit?
William Shatner.
Bezos, that Amazon guy.
Oh God, yes. You're talking about when they
go and do the floaty thing.
Yeah.
And that was a whole. You know what I mean? For him, somebody that powerful, that was still a whole process. Like, he didn't just do it one day. And
no, he had to have training.
Shatner went, and left orbit. That was another thing. You know what I mean? That was a whole event. So you don't, as a CEO of like a major company, just disappear. Like the plot said, "Oh, I don't want to argue with who's in charge." Well, why didn't you leave something?
Yeah.
I'm Googling all these things that got nothing to do with this and learning stuff.
Yeah. Andy J is asking if we're talking about Star Wars.
We could be talking about any science fiction movie.
I mean, I could argue that we were
This
talking
is-
about Prometheus, which is moderately better than the prequel or sequel trilogies.
What sequel or tweakle?
Let's just wait
I'm
to see
sorry,
if I
but
can
I'm still in
trigger him.
denial.
Yeah, so
Still say the best Star Wars film is Rogue One.
yeah, because we could have removed from the entire movie, and it would have made no difference, and probably would have made a bit more sense at the end. Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
The end, and they could have followed Prometheus with something so much better with that ending. But back to where we are.
Yeah.
I wonder if Vickers is just kind of there as some kind of foil to try and throw the viewer off track with what's going on.
I don't know. I wonder if maybe she had a bigger role originally, maybe a more meaningful role, and it was cut away. I don't know if there's anything in the deleted scenes that would.
I got to be honest. I did kind of like her character there.
I don't know. I didn't understand her. She wasn't coherent, was she? And it's just a bit weird, like that whole scene with Idris Elba, isn't it? On the bridge, and he's on about.
You're a robot.
Yeah, there's that whole thing. Because I mean, yes, you kind of thought, oh yeah, she's like sister robot to David. That was kind of the impression you were getting.
Yeah. Which actually would have been a better plotline.
Well, maybe, yeah, maybe. But I suppose everybody saw that and figured that's what it was until she goes, "Mick, come to my room in 20 minutes or whatever it is."
I've got it. Her whole purpose in the film was to lure Idris Elba off the bridge, so no one would be there when the other two died. That's her entire reason for being in the film.
But that didn't even pan out. That didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. You're talking about the two that Fifield and the biologist guy that got
the biologist game. Yeah. The animal friendly biologist.
Annoying scene. If this movie had any redeeming qualities, it was remove those two characters and their entire story arc.
Yeah.
Like honestly, this movie's over 2 hours long, believe it or not, and it feels like it's just rushed. Like it starts off until Fifield speaks. Like that's honestly I was going to say when they landed on LV 223, but actually now that I'm thinking back, it's actually when Fifield opens his mouth.
Yeah,
it's where this just takes a note. It's just it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
Fifield opens his mouth. And then it just falls off.
Yeah, the characters I think are a major problem in this film because like I say, you're never quite clear of anybody's motivations, and they're never really explained. People behave in odd ways as well. They don't behave consistently. They just seem to do stuff as the plot requires. I mean, I'm gonna mention Fifield and the biologist because I thought that whole thing that they get involved in when they get left behind is probably the most ridiculous, shoehorned in, lazy writing that has appeared in any science fiction movie.
It did feel as if it was supposed to be some kind of comic relief, but they forgot to put the comic bit into it.
Exactly.
Well, it's the same as the captain and Shaw's sex scene, flirting. That was supposed to be probably comic relief, but it didn't land.
No.
Do you remember that soap opera back in the day?
Which
one?
Not Landing.
What is that one?
EastEnders.
Right. Okay. Have you ever heard when like two of their characters were speaking to each other and you actually think they're about to kick off?
Yeah.
And it turns out they're actually chatting each other up.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you're just going, what the hell?
This is strange. Yeah. Or they're
it's
having
that
a big
soap opera shit I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
Like they've got a soap opera writer to write the dialogue.
Yeah, it was Ridley Scott. No, he didn't do the script, did he? It was Lindelhoff. Was it Damon Lindelhoff and somebody else?
There were two writers, and they should both be ashamed.
Yeah, well, wasn't it? Can I mention that am I too early to mention Fifield and the nameless biologist guy? and they go in. They finally find. No, I'm not going to jump ahead.
No, there's a bit of dum-dum to go before that.
There
that
is a bit of
level.
dum. You're right. The whole
That's not
arriving on the
even-
planet.
That's like a build-up of dum-dums.
It is. I don't want to go peak dum-dum. And I want to. We're going to start.
Right. So
We're
this is the equivalent in today's world of the Mars expedition that people are talking about.
Yeah.
You're not going to have me on that ship because it would be a bad idea.
Mm.
Because I'm an idiot, you know, and I'm just not a people person. And you
Yeah. Because you're just there for the money.
Yeah, I'm just a rocks man. Rock. I do rocks. I'm just not conducive to that environment. I need my space. So
yeah,
you're not going to stick me in a tin box and hurtle me halfway across the universe. There'd be holes in the punchers through the friggin' walls and stuff.
What's this blood splat? Nothing. You know.
So first of all, don't even pick a remotely coherent, experienced expedition team.
No.
Because the benefit is that they've been out in space for what 2.5 years, but they have been like on ice, so they haven't.
Yeah, they've not even spoken to each other.
Once again, even traveling up the air to the International Space Station, there's loads of briefings and trainings and what ifs. You go on an oil rig, there's a lot of briefings and trainings and courses you have to pass before you even step in a helicopter to get across. That's just the way it is.
Just before they land, they receive their briefing. So they've been frozen on a spaceship traveling through intergalactic space for 2.5 years, and none of them, apart from maybe Vickers and David, actually have any clue why they are there.
And even those two don't have a clue because they don't have like a coherent agenda.
Yeah, and I think you're wrong because
Whalen doesn't know that Vickers is on the ship.
That's right. Yeah,
even
Firefield knows why he's there.
Rocks, man, rocks.
So yeah,
I do rocks.
Sure, and what's his chops know why they're there? They're following the dots that were painted on the ceilings.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, we have this ragtag bunch of scientists.
Have you seen Prince of Darkness?
I have.
Right. This reminds me of Prince of Darkness. Okay.
Oh,
everyone's super big brain, PhD, triple PhD, blah blah blah. You know that whole scene where they're going, me big brain, me also big brain, I'm big brain too, and then they act like absolute muppets.
That's unleash Satan upon the earth.
Yeah, because this is just give me callbacks to that.
Except that was a better movie.
Had Alice Cooper in it.
Yeah,
that was me. I'm not shallow. I was sold.
Yeah, Alice Cooper killing somebody with a bicycle.
Half a bicycle.
Oh, it was. Yeah,
it's only half a bicycle.
I might watch that tonight. Actually,
yeah, you should.
But that's
again.
I just had throwbacks to that movie because that's just that particular scene where everyone's like, me, super big brain. Yeah, I'd be also super big brain.
Yeah, is that just the dick wagging contest? In effect, right?
Yeah, lots of pretentious people do that. You know, that's the only thing they have. No, I
don't think scientists do that. I don't think real scientists do that, do they? I mean, that's probably the problem. You know, you have to have these.
There's a reason I didn't go past first year. I went into business admin instead because I looked around the lecture room and realized who I'd be working with, and I went, nah. This is I don't like maths, which I discovered. Like I really don't like maths, and but not just that. There, it would have been worth the pain of going, maths, if I thought I was going to be working with people with personality. But when I look around,
that's kind of the problem, though, isn't it? Is that you want people with very little personality, maybe. Yeah, because you give people personalities and they all act like lunatics, like these guys
you get
do.
Shit like this, us, you know what I mean?
This is it's drama. It makes drama. I suppose that's why you have to have a disparate group in these kind of movies. But if everybody behaved like professionals, it might be quite dull.
I would argue. Okay, look at the war movie genre, the action movie genre, right? We've got the crack team, and it's when things fall apart.
Yeah.
And then you see, you see the coherent team, you see them being successful, and then it's when shit hits the fan, and then it breaks down and then the stoicism comes out and the heroism.
Yeah.
They were good
Unfortunately-
movies.
Unfortunately,
This
there's none of that in
is not.
Prometheus.
No. But once again, there was no character there that you were kind of rooting for, was there? There's nothing that you didn't really care what happened to any of them.
I liked Shaw. I'll not lie. I liked Shaw.
Yeah,
She's the best character. She's the best character in it.
I don't know. I
don't
mean,
think she had much to work with. You know what I
no,
mean?
I think that's the problem. I think
she's
Numi
the
replaced.
most likable character.
Well,
in it.
that- because
the
she's
one
the
that
most
it's
normal,
easiest to
isn't
root
she?
for.
She's not. You know, I think she's kind of given a scene where she kind of demonstrates that she is a human being. When she's talking about not being able to have children and that, and that's quite an interesting scene. It was a bit shoehorned in because of what was about to happen.
It was just
But-
kind of like that scene. It just kind of like appeared from nowhere with no run up or build up or any
It
kind of like
did
indication
because
it
you
was
had
gonna
no. I don't think there was any mention previous to that scene that she couldn't have children, and so I don't know. It lost maybe a little bit of the impact, but at least it was like a scene of two characters interacting, and showing that they actually had some kind of connection together or whatever, and which you didn't really get from any of the others.
Well, it was put in there to lead up for the next scene.
Exactly, and that's kind of the
And it
problem
would
because it
really-
all happened very suddenly. If it had happened earlier in the film, potentially,
But this
and not
movie's 123 minutes.
it
It's not like they
is,
didn't have time.
but they tried to put. I say they tried to put too much in, but I don't know if that's the case, or whether it's just some of the scenes that they played were a bit drawn out. Maybe.
See, it does feel very rushed for the runtime, but I'm thinking like, what's better, Prometheus or Prometheus Parts 1 and 2?
Well, that would depend.
Because surely they just tried to cram as much into 2 as they did into 1.
But I guess they could have spent a bit more time with some of the characters, maybe. So we actually did give a damn about them.
So we had a load of action scenes, like the storm scene and everything else.
Yeah.
Was that really? What did that add to the plot?
Well, I think it was meant to create some kind of tension. That was the deal, because up to that point there wasn't a huge amount.
No, but it was right. So a good movie is a slow burner up to a point that it kicks off.
Yeah.
And right up to that point, everything was going until Fifield spoke.
Yeah.
We were actually getting a good pace. And then once the ship landed, everyone went full wibble.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, I'm not waiting. Run! And you're like,
yeah. You're talking about when they're landing. After
There's
they
only-
land,
there's only
instead
6
of,
hours
I
in-
think the captain says, "Yeah,
There's only 6
you want to
hours
wait
till
till the morning.
sunset.
It's only
No,
6 hours.
It's Christmas, and I want to open my presents.
and that could have just been a
Wag us
cutscene.
off like a knobhead.
And we
And
could have
that-
had the scene with Holloway and Shaw then.
Just the next, exactly,
That
and it would have
evening.
been better. It would have been better, yeah, exactly.
For pacing wise, and it didn't have to. We didn't have to have 20 minutes of the movie being overnight.
No,
It
no,
could
you
be,
didn't.
okay, wait
It
till
could have
the
just
morning.
been the next morning. There you are. They're driving out the next morning,
And then they're checking equipment, maybe a bit of the subtle plot of whatever is going on.
yeah,
You know, as people are preparing equipment for the expedition to go to where the ship is, there's so much they could have done, which they didn't. They just went, rush out the door, big storm, rush back,
Yeah.
oh, left
But-
behind, blah, 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 blah. And
Wait,
that
wait a
just
minute,
gets the rest
why
of the
have you-
movie,
why
blah,
have
blah,
you
blah.
Why have you
I
got
don't know
that
about-
gun? Oh,
I don't-
I'm like expedition security.
Oh,
We
that-
won't need
oh.
guns. Yeah, fair enough then. Put it down. Expedition security goes with them anyway.
yeah. And that, I kind of thought that scene as well, where no, we're going right now. It's Christmas. I want to open my present. At that point, I felt that Holloway's character changed as well.
Yes.
Up until that point, he seemed like he might actually be a reasonable guy,
Mhm.
a scientist, with
Yeah.
half a brain.
Two level-headed people
Yeah,
who
Yeah.
are
right.
But he-
Yeah,
on the biggest
Which
discovery of
would
their
have-
lives.
would have made more sense. I think would have been better. You'd have had the two scientists. Maybe
Yeah.
they could have been, them against Vickers and Wayland or whatever, who are trying to force the mission to speed up or whatever. But they don't. He's the one that instigates it all.
Yeah.
But it just seemed completely out of character. It's like suddenly somebody just said, "Now you're going to be an arsehole." And
Yeah,
from this moment on,
it's kind of like he takes at that scene. It's like we're going now because I want to.
Yeah.
But he takes the foot off the ladder.
Yeah.
Later on in the film, where they've been inside the building and he gets back on board the ship and suddenly discovers like he's an alcoholic, he just jumps off the ladder altogether. It's like,
well, but he's also the one that takes his helmet off in the temple when they discover there's air.
We haven't
breathable air.
got there yet. Yeah,
So-
but it's like but you have to remember his entire role, that character's entire role in this film is to be a penis.
I mean, literally and figuratively.
Pregnate Elizabeth Shaw.
Who couldn't be impregnated because we've already had the telegraph.
Because we've already had all the
Yeah.
messages.
Because it's not a parasite inside me. Oh, I'm having a baby.
Yeah, how did that happen?
But it's
Even
not a conventional fetus.
Play out because it was so rushed.
Yeah. No, that's kind of part of the problem. Once again, is the one of the characters that could have been quite likable, because there seemed like there's a bunch of reasonable guys. The crew of the Prometheus, they seemed like they could have been reasonable, not given enough screen time, so you didn't really know much about them.
The bridge crew were awesome, best characters in the film.
They were pretty good, but I mean, but you don't see that they don't feature that much.
Why hire someone like Idris Elba?
Why
when
hire
they could
somebody?
have easily changed that for anybody, for all that his character did.
Yeah,
that could have been anybody.
Yeah, I kind of felt maybe he was at certain points. I wondered if he was intended to be like the McCready character from The Thing, the guy that takes charge when the shit hits the fan.
But it didn't.
But it didn't. It didn't really pan out that way.
Really take charge when the shit hit the fan.
Well, I think isn't that another thing? Is that once the ball starts rolling,
because
it's just
everyone apart from maybe David is doing their own thing, and they're all doing it separately, and they all seem to be pulling in slightly different directions.
Yeah,
I think that's a dialogue. I don't think it's even like plot. I think it's just the dialogue and the script being, as Mark said, so lazily. It's written on the back of a fag packet. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They do this. I'm Ridley Scott. I'm the best. Make that.
No, Ridley, you can't fire that man.
Hire all these really talented actors for lots of amount of money because the more big names we've got in this, the more pull the movie will have. Also, we'll call it Alien. You do notice that Alien is nowhere in the title or any of the description.
It's not even the same intro or anything.
No, it's not.
And there was a wee bit of almost like a remix beat of the Alien theme, just slightly thrown in towards the end. That was it. But there's
when the word Prometheus comes up on the screen, when it slowly fades in, it starts off with like the two uprights, like Alien. As you're like, oh, here we go. What's that then?
Well, that was one of those weird things that with the genesis of this film, though, wasn't it? Is that for a long time before the release, we have Ridley Scott telling us this is not an Alien movie. No, it's definitely not an Alien movie. No, it's not an Alien movie. It's just forget that. Forget that, because this is not an Alien movie.
Let's be honest. The only reason this movie's even remembered is because it's latched onto the Alien franchise.
Yeah, because it's like
a limpet. You know what I mean? It's like a limpet at the bottom of a ship.
Yeah,
it's the only thing. If it wasn't tied to the Alien franchise, this would have been a forgettable sci-fi movie.
So think about limpets.
The fact that it even managed to make its money back at the box office was because of the Alien brand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it basically just becomes a slightly better looking Mission to Mars or something, right? One of those equally forgettable sci-fi flicks about discovering alien life somewhere.
My God, we're not talking about The Martian Chronicles, are we?
No, I'm talking about Mission to Mars with Val Kilmer.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah. You don't remember it, do you, Flea?
I don't think I've seen it.
Not Mission to Mars, Red Planet. Mission to Mars is the other one that came out at the same time with Tim Robbins.
Red
Gary
Planet. Now that
Sinise.
rings. Red Planet. Now that rings a bell.
Yeah, Red Planet is the Val Kilmer one. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah,
Right, cool.
which but I could have said Mission to Mars if I hadn't mentioned Val Kilmer. Nobody would have been any the wiser.
Yeah, they're that interchangeable, just generic. There's tons. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a new trope. It's been done 100 times.
Yeah.
And
That's the
if
thing.
this wasn't attached to the Alien franchise, it would just be another one of their movies. Wouldn't even be on the radar.
I think that's what we're talking about, isn't it? It doesn't do anything new. There's nothing original here. It's all been done before in other films, and in a number of them better. It's just this one looked very, very nice and had Ridley Scott attached to it, I suppose, which once upon a time was a good thing.
How the mighty have fallen, eh?
Oh,
But yeah, like the whole thing of even carrying out a survey. Okay, right, we don't need a security team. Are there no wild animals on this planet?
Ooh,
Like
yeah,
they're not going. You know what I mean? You're going on essential safari. Would you go into the Amazon rainforest and not have like some protection in case something's going to try and eat you?
Yeah. Well, you'd want to know what it is you were getting yourself into, wouldn't you? Before, I know this was like an alien planet that they hadn't been to before, but that means that's why you don't go off as soon as you land. You don't go walking out to the alien
There's
structure.
surveys and probes and setting up a base camp.
They have these drones that zip around, right?
Yeah,
that were zipping around.
God, they were horrendous.
Oh God.
Well,
barking.
We'll get back to them.
No.
Oh God!
Right. But yeah,
but
they seem to have all these cool drones that can do mapping and surveying and stuff. Wouldn't you just send those out first in the immediate area? Just take a look around and just get an idea.
It's Christmas Day and we need to open our presents. Couldn't the captain or Vickers have just kind of turned around and go no?
Well, the captain, strangely enough, seemed to have very, very little authority on that ship. It seemed.
That was so strange. Like, once again, like, why cast Idris Elba? Just any generic actor would have done the same job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was
same as Charlie Theron. Why cast somebody of that?
The name is like the big name.
I mean,
that's
the thing. It is
actor, actress will come in and watch that film and give even more money.
If you discounted Charlize Theron and Michael Fassbender, everybody else in that cast virtually unknown, probably in most terms. I mean, even at that point, I don't think Idris Elba was a particularly big name, was he? 2012. When was he doing The Wire?
Luther put him in the map, wasn't it?
What The Wire was the TV show, I think, that put him on the map. No, I can't think when that came out, but you know, I don't mind him. He's pretty good in the role of Captain whatever his name was.
No, it's not a problem with him. I'm just saying, maybe he wasn't as big a name back then, but you think now, why have someone of that like recognizable name? Why waste the money when the character did? Why pay someone or have someone recognizable like Charlize Theron or Idris Elba when they do nothing? At least Michael Fassbender, understand his arc or not, he carried most of the story. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, he's probably the most interesting character in the entire film.
Those crocs were interesting.
Yeah, but because I never really understood his motivations. It's hard to be kind of rooting for him because it seemed like he was the bad guy, and then he's not the bad guy at the end. I don't know. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know what his intentions were. And maybe it's because I haven't seen Covenant. Maybe all will be revealed when I watch Covenant.
You poor man.
Oh dear. We all thought that. We honestly, you're going to go on that journey. Covenant's going to explain what the hell this was about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And double Fassbender, of course, right? So, So I think I've got all that to look forward to. But there
was a list of things they wanted in the movie, and they rolled dice to see which one they'd put in.
Yeah, and they rolled dice to see when as well. I think
you'll be glad to know Covenant works by exactly the same system.
It does. Yeah.
There's like
Only
two
involves the
conversations going on
Except
occasional
here.
coin
they're not
flip.
using
Hang
a
on.
dice. They're just flipping a coin. Is that the yeah?
And you'll love it.
Right, hang on. We're getting like two chats going on here as well, Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
For flip's sake, everyone's like, go for it. Hang on.
yeah. Oh, yes. You see, Phil
Yeah.
Phil couldn't be with us in body, but he's here in spirit.
Yeah.
Really?
Fascinating character. Yeah, but completely wasted. Like, didn't go anywhere.
He's
Doesn't go.
he seems to be following a plot line, and then for some reason he veers off it onto another plot line,
Thanks, Andy.
and then
Yeah.
he veers onto another. He just kind of like jumps back and forth between 3 or 4 different plot lines. It almost feels as if he's like, maybe if you like took the film and moved all the different scenes around with David in them, you could actually somehow make some kind of like coherent flow through the film. All apart
Actually,
from
that was a
that,
good point.
he is an awesome shot. He's an awesome shot with the basketball from the back of a bicycle.
Well, he had to one up
What
Sigourney
was
Weaver from Resurrection. That's
what
why.
about? I mean, was that some kind of homage to Sigourney Weaver in Alien Resurrection? Because why would anyone homage Alien Resurrection?
Yeah. It was almost like this felt like they were trying to. We need to reset. That was a bummer. That just you know what I mean? That annoyed people. We need to get back on track. Let's do a prequel and reset. And
it wouldn't have surprised me if after Covenant there'd been like a new Alien and they completely rebooted the series from there. I'm glad they didn't. I'm very glad they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it
the
didn't
technology's that's a good point to bring up. Actually, the technology being so advanced, and the cope that is even coming out lately to try and explain it when they know it was just a pretentious. We want to build shiny stuff.
Those delicious, one amazing looking holographic displays they have on the ship, instead of like an Atari ST board and a green screen monitor.
Yeah. What happened to the spacesuits as well, right?
Yeah, it's kind
I mean,
of
these were like super sleek,
from big
Elon Musk style,
from big chunky
spacesuits.
things down to like shell suits.
Somebody kind of went, do you know what? In the future, we're going to make them more cumbersome and more difficult to wear than they are now.
We're gonna.
It didn't make any sense at all.
I say it's because the Nostromo was a commercial vehicle, obviously a very old commercial vehicle coming to its end. And though the spacesuits they were using were, designed to be used in conditions where there was dangers of rips and tears and snagging on things. I'm making this up as I go along. It's called
it's pretty convincing. It is pretty convincing.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But it's like how far, like Prometheus, the original Alien, right? Where are they set on the time scale? Because Prometheus is a prequel. How many years?
Prometheus is set in 2090. It says at the beginning of the
Alien set
at the beginning of the movie, but Aliens.
This is my.
Here we go.
Alien.
Get the Bible out.
Do you know what? This is worth more than 100 movies. Seriously, this actually makes the bloody universe make sense.
It has the massive timeline in the front, doesn't it? I've never read the
about 100 years. Phil says it's about 100 years difference.
But we need to get this in right. Hang on.
Yeah.
So, has there been a war against
2091?
So technology is so much worse in the future. It's like the Star Wars prequels where you get Star Wars and everything is kind of like functional and useful and chunky, and then you go back into prequels and everything's like smooth and sleek and shiny.
But that's the thing, right? So basically, there hasn't been much in the way until Prometheus. Prometheus happens here, right?
Okay, yeah.
There's bugger all really in terms of expansion into the rim or space travel. It all happens here.
Okay.
I mean, things really take off. So why did it
look so? Maybe the Prometheus was a prototype.
No, it was. I mean, it obviously was meant to be top of the range designed specially for this mission or whatever. You know, it was all of that.
Yeah, but when's the prototype ever been like the super duper and then it gets worse?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, in 100 years' time, what would have been super advanced?
What was the prototype?
Is
the
now,
Motorola, you know what I mean?
like
Let's
phone,
go back
yeah.
to the car phone. Remember the car phones, the ones
Yeah,
with like a battery pack, like
Yeah,
you
The
needed to do
portable
weights to
phone,
carry it
yeah.
about. And then you had the Motorola flipping desktop, took 12 hours to charge.
Yeah,
That's like saying, we started off with the whatever it is now.
the
And then
iPhone,
the Motorola
12, 15, 17, I
Z20
don't know
or
what it is. Yeah,
it regressed back to the
Like
Nokia
one
3300.
minute you've got a shoulder bag with a handset on it connected by a cable. The following day, the 3310.
No, I'm saying that the
the
logic
other way
of this
around.
universe is we start off with the i29 or whatever it is now, right?
Yeah.
The latest thing, and then you go back 100 years later, you've got the Nokia 3310. It's like it makes no sense.
It's like the thing is like when that mobile phones first came out, they look how big they are now.
Yeah.
Mobile phones.
Just think, maybe, right? In by the time we get to Alien, people are using all that old tech ironically. That's what it is. They're all doing
like
it because they're all.
I want my stuff to be retro.
There's been a space depression, so they're making things cheap and chunky.
Yeah, it's like hipsters going back right now to use the old 3310s or whatever.
So look at that ship Nostromo. It's so cool. It's so retro.
Yeah, Phil's desperate here. He's desperately trying to.
It's like Fallout. They're having the retro.
You're gonna blow, Phil. You're meant to be relaxing, mate.
Yeah, you're gonna have. Yeah. You're going to bust a blood vessel tonight, my friend.
He's like sitting good.
Yeah, he's race typing.
I didn't.
I'm going to relax tonight.
In defense, I enjoy watching Prometheus. I just think I'd enjoy watching it more if it was a slightly different film.
Well, yeah, like a good one.
No, it needs like
a different script.
Every scene,
different characters.
Every time there's a major scene change in the movie, it feels like a slightly different movie. There's no cohesion running through it.
No, it's not. For some reason,
that's why I was thinking soap opera. Honestly, I was thinking soap opera. It's that sort of incoherent babbling of characters that have no business being together just because the script needs them to be.
Yes, that's Captain. Yes, what is it? Fifield's video script feeds just popped up again. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes. Due to the dramatic.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, have you ever watched them Spanish soap operas?
Yes, I've watched.
I've not, but I do remember Santa Barbara during the summer holidays or whatever it was.
That's what they needed to do with this. Just have all the sort of actors out of that. But
yeah. Okay, so yeah.
Where were we?
Can we move on to the exploration of the alien?
Yeah,
temple?
Because what were those security cameras? What the hell is that? Apart from
the drone things.
No. What actually played?
The
holograph.
Dogs, right?
Yeah.
Dogs, right? And I just cringed. I just died.
Yeah.
Wait, David
it was
climbs up the wall, gouges some glow in the dark snot or something out of a hole. Goes, interesting. Beep, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, 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 beep.
And then we get just what the plot needs you to see of the aliens running about.
For some reason, it was recorded and replayed as a hologram. Because why?
To draw our adventurers to the door with the alien corpse before it. I've used that kind of like plot thing before. I can MacGuffin.
Yeah. So we get this. We have our intrepid explorer team enters the temple. They trigger the hologram, which leads them to the door where there's the headless corpse.
everybody's dead. There's
Yeah.
been something possibly like we don't know at this point. Is it biological? Is it natural disaster? Is it
Yeah.
war? Right. So, what would your back of your brain going? Be
Mine would
careful.
be, yeah,
Be
not.
careful.
I might take my helmet off.
It's like, hang on a minute.
Take a deep one.
Whatever's killed them may still be around.
Well, I mean, it may be.
I'm glad
Oh, but we
didn't
don't
bring
need a
any
security
guns with
team
us.
because
Ooh.
Nah, what are the odds of that? Eh?
yeah.
You know, well, never going to happen.
I
So
mean, think about it. If for whatever ungodly reason aliens come down, they land on Earth, they come out they walk out the spaceship, raise their hand, and go, "We come in peace." Are they not expecting to be surrounded by 1 million people with guns?
The Day the Earth stood still.
Yep.
yeah.
Great film. The first one, not the remake.
Yeah. We'll not talk about that one. That was that was
Claw 2, Barada, bang, out on my shoulder. You know, it's
even John Cleese couldn't save that movie.
John Cleese should have been the lead in that movie. It'd have been better.
I'm going to go take us back just a little bit, where we enter the temple with our heroes, and Fifield, because he's everybody's favorite character.
Rocks, yeah, I do rocks, man. Rocks.
No, he sings them.
He launches the little drones that go off and explore everything, right, and map the whole place. They map this whole thing out.
What's that got to do with geology? I thought you liked rocks.
No. Well, I'm going to make another point
because
yeah,
we're all scratching our head that same point.
Yeah, there he goes off the go. Yeah, mapping the whole place out. We have the whole scene where they find the chamber, where they find the head of the alien, the engineer, and they decide they're going to take it back
as well.
Yeah. But
I'm sure the droid things would have picked up the whole pile of corpses.
I mean, potentially, but
that's just a geographical.
We get to
they only detect rocks. They only want rocks.
Well, okay. I mean, we get to the bit where we find the beheaded corpse, and it's at this point that Fifield panics, quite rightly so, to be honest, and decides, "I'm out of here. I'm going." And leaves.
Rocks. He doesn't want to meet his maker.
Yeah. We then have a biologist who discovers a headless alien corpse and decides that he's going to leave at that moment. It suddenly becomes too scary for him, and he decides that he's going to go as well.
Also, he leaves with the one bloke who's been slagging him off the entire movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
not his friend.
They're kicking off in the briefing randomly for no fucking reason, and then now they're going hand in hand, skipping off into the abyss together.
Exactly. Yeah, they. In fact, it doesn't want them to go. Are you coming? Doesn't Fifield say that to a nameless biology?
They were called Fifield or whatever the biologist's name was. They could just as easily have called them Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. So they go running off. They go, I'm getting out of here, says Fifield, and off he goes. Then we have that whole bit where they find the head, decide they're going to take it back. Something happens which triggers this storm, which means they all have to rush back to the ship. And in the next scene, we see them all leaving and zipping away.
Awesome looking scene, to be honest.
Except for Fifield and nameless biology bloke. How is it that everybody else managed to get out in record time, but the guy that had the fucking map
gets lost? It didn't. One of the vehicles didn't go missing. Like, what was the load in those vehicles? Right. How many vehicles did they have? Was it 2 or 3?
They had 3.
There was a little convoy.
The 8-wheeler and the 2 little tracked things. They all came out on this 8-wheeler and these 2 little tracked things. When they were heading back to ship in the storm, there was the 8-wheeler and the 2 little tracked things. So why didn't anyone kind of whatever they were traveling, so there should either be a vehicle left behind or someone in the big APC thing should have gone, here, where's biology student Fairfield?
Yeah, they didn't really seem to give a crap about that, did they? And left them behind. But then I guess they were in a rush. So, maybe we can excuse them for...
Where's that even remote professionalism of...
Hang on. David was with them. David engineered it somehow.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, he just made it. He pulled a storm out of his arse.
No, he used his amazing android powers to make them forget they existed just for a moment.
He had a stopwatch. Look into the watch. You are sleepy. You're sleepy. In 5, 4, 3.
There was no 5.
Was that one of the deleted scenes?
That was one of the deleted.
That's one of the deleted scenes. David's hypnotized them, and they're like, right.
Ago. They've probably walked it back by now. They needed to walk it off to get rid of their tension.
So
absolutely right, David. Quick.
I haven't done much of it myself, but people like cavers and stuff, if they're going to unexplored places, usually use things like glow sticks and flares, chalk.
Leave a rope
mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone next, but archaeological digs and stuff use little bits of wire and mine tape.
Yeah. But they didn't need to do that because they had a map.
Yes.
Then how did they get lost?
Because Fifield was too busy looking at his rocks.
This is let's go back to the point we made earlier about.
Plus, this thing's the fucking circle.
Lazy writing. It is. That's right.
This isn't even
when we actually see the map later on, it's like
oh shit! I'm going to say it again.
There's a massive
the plot in Alien versus Predator makes more sense because it was a labyrinth and it was specifically designed to test people.
Yeah.
Colin,
I can't believe I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth.
Becoming a fan of Alien versus Predator.
That's twice.
Twice
now.
But with Alien Romulus, Alien versus Predator is going to be more relevant to the Alien universe.
Ooh. Anyway,
it changes the name of Wayland from whatever Wayland's name is in Prometheus to whatever the name of Wayland is in Alien versus Predator.
Let's be honest, nobody cares.
Yeah, I think I may have watched that film once.
For the so-called big bad, he's really not. There's no mysticism behind him as the chief overlord or the CEO or the owner of the mega corporation. It just
he's been represented
on screen.
As soon as you mention his name, anyway, you know he's the bad guy, right?
Yeah,
that's the problem with that whole. Mr. Wayland, not going to be a nice fella, is he?
Yeah, but his character doesn't have that weight behind him. He's just a relatively crippled old man who walks funny because of the exoskeleton they strap him into.
Yeah.
Oh God, I was getting Dark Knight Rises vibes.
It would have been slightly funnier.
I don't want to go there.
No,
it couldn't have made him funnier if he'd been like Michael. He was like, "Hello, my name is Wayland, and I am the minister for silly walks." Goose steps off. It's why.
Yeah.
Just why. Apart from that, great fun.
Yeah, I've kind of lost myself now.
So there is people, right? They've mapped it out with the special bullshit devices.
Yeah.
And they haven't left any markers down just to guide them back, and they haven't brought any equipment in. They're just walking out.
They did. They just walked. Yeah, I mean that's how great Fifield is as a geologist and a scientist, is that he could not even follow a straight line back to the entrance where they came
of a circular ship.
It's few.
Well, maybe that was the problem. Maybe he did walk in a straight line, and it was a circular ship.
He missed the front door that came in. He walked past it.
Yeah.
So the fact it was a massive great
he saw a rock
with daylight shining through it.
Yeah.
Somebody dropped the rock, and he went, David dropped the rock.
Oh, yes, just to distract Fifield,
to distract him from the front door, so he'd walk past it. There you go.
You kind of threw it down the corridor.
Future mankind's reliance on technology.
I hear a rock.
I come here to do rocks, and I'm going to do one. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. If you're in an alien planet, never before discovered, and we're at the age of exploration, and yes, you find a big bloody temple, and you're not sure what it's made out of, you're going to, he didn't even know it wasn't rock.
No.
What tests did he do?
Is it rock? Is it made of? Is it rock? I don't know, but I can tell you it is hollow. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't Rock, he'd be like, not interested.
Or
Well, he
was he?
wasn't.
He was like he didn't even find. Okay, how's this temple built, or what? You know,
Yeah, it was not. Didn't give a
I'm-
rat's ass, really. He was just there for the money, though.
Absolutely, yeah, he was just there for
I'm
money.
gonna put my money on the table.
But the captain was just there to fly the ship, and he was
Yeah.
the one that found out it was another ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did it more remotely with the
So
scans.
he actually did all of that remotely, without any scientific training.
But he's just there to fly the ship. But he,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And Elber, isn't he? He is a smart fella.
He's
So anyway, we lose Fifield and nameless biology bloke.
I miss them already.
They get stuck in the temple as everybody else escapes, and the massive dust cloud comes raging in.
Because plot needed to happen, and
Well,
did somebody do something heroic?
Oh yeah, that's when they get back to the ship. But now that whole dust cloud that kind of comes in, was that something that was triggered by them doing something? Because that wasn't really clear either.
No,
I
just
don't-
Whether it was
I'm
something that David did or somebody
I thought it
touched
was-
something and suddenly
I thought it was
ooh.
just kind of a plot MacGuffin, because there's a bit where they get to the temple, they open the door, and like
Yeah.
everything starts contenting. So, ooh, look at the paintings on the ceiling; they're amazing. Because that's when I want to call him Rutherford. That's when Elizabeth Shaw's bit on the side.
Holloway.
Thank you, Holloway.
Yeah.
That's when Holloway he basically just goes like, "It's just another tomb," and stomps off to go and get drunk. And it's when oh no, we've affected the atmosphere in here. Quick, get that head in the bag.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's when it goes, oh, by the way, there's a storm coming. You've got 5 minutes. The boss says she's closing the doors in so many minutes. Get
Yeah.
back to the ship.
so
quick.
why not close the door? You know,
And
once
everybody,
again, you start off slowly.
it's
You-
like
you go
everybody
in, you start a base. You know, you put up
Yeah.
a tent inside.
is the panic. Is the panic like getting back to the ship so intense? Is that why they forget about Fifield and I don't know Dave the biologist?
I mean, yeah, I think that was maybe you could argue that potentially. Well, the fact is they know they're not there. They know Fifield and Dave are not there.
And when
So
when Fifield sees the dead alien, who is supposed to be like the creator of mankind,
Yeah.
does he just have a bit of like existential terror that is just really, really badly acted, and that's why he runs off? Because he's
No, I
scared of
just think.
the
You see, I is it Rafe Spall? Is that who plays Fifield in this film? I can't remember.
I can't remember some.
But he panics when they see the alien. Now I can maybe get it that
God.
maybe he would, but when I can't call him Dave because we've already got a character called Dave in this.
Nigel,
We'll call
Richard,
him Nigel. So Nigel is a biologist, and you kind of thought there's an alien body here. He should at least have been interested, but no, that's the point when he
Buggers off,
literally shits himself and leaves. Yeah. While everybody else who's non-specialists at this thing start cutting little bits up off this and start, investigating the corpse. So there's a reason why Fifield and Nigel get left behind. It's because nobody likes them and they're just a bit rubbish. And
Yeah, Rafe Spall plays Milburn and Sean Harris plays
Milburn,
Nigel.
yeah, Faith, yeah, that's it. Because the guy that plays Five, I've seen him in a few things before, and he's one of those guys. Yeah, you see him in a few things, but I never know who he is.
He's been in some really good films.
Has he?
Yeah, it's a Mission Impossible. 2 of the Mission Impossible.
Oh, he was.
movies.
That's right. He was the main bad guy in
Green
Mission
Knight,
Impossible, whatever it was.
Yep.
6 or 7 or something. I don't know what it was.
Rogue Nation and Fallout. It says here.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
That's him.
I suppose if you make a mistake.
He was a lot better in that, to be fair. He wasn't given much to work with.
He's not been in much. He's been a load of random stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing memorable.
Bless him.
No, I'm confusing him with the other guy. He has the same sort of
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
I'm confusing him with the Scottish guy. You know, the one that was in Daredevil and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Series, not the shitty movie.
A lot of them
When they actually tried, you know, when they actually tried to make something good.
So Fifield and Nigel are left behind as the heroic rest of the crew run back to the spaceship, run away. Yeah. And then we have the scene on the ship with the captain now, who they discover that they've left two of their crewmates behind. And this is it seems a little bit out of character for Idris Elba, for Captain whatever his name is. Well, it's almost like he gets a bit of a kick out of kind of scaring them a little bit more. It's like, oh yeah, you're trapped in an alien. Yannick, yeah.
It's another of those like comedy bits in the film that doesn't quite.
It doesn't quite land.
It's the film,
but you kind of get the feeling that obviously Captain Yannick has seen Fifield's introductory scene, and therefore has decided the guy's an arse, and I'm gonna torture him a little bit by terrifying him.
Something
that there's something moving, there's something living, there's something alive in there. Yeah.
Something is not
which is amazing as well, that they have the technology there to map and scan everything, but it has to be the ship that remotely does it through a storm.
Yes.
But don't you find Wi-Fi on those drones must be amazing?
This is the first life form they've actually detected on the planet at this point, and he basically uses it as a way to frighten, and we know that it actually is really there because we see it on the screen, don't we? See this little ping on the screen to say there's a life form there. So it's actually a life form that's in this temple. But all he does is like basically, sleep well, knowing there's an alien life form in there. And it's like no attempt to even try to figure out what it is or to track it, because they've got two of their crewmates that are trapped in there effectively with it. And it's almost like, it's like, enjoy yourselves, lads.
I've worked with loads of people I don't like, but you still do your job. You know, if you still got a job to do, you carry on, get it done, and you act professionally.
Well, you assume that these two people that have been specially selected actually have a role to fulfill on this mission as well.
Yeah.
And so to kind of leave them in a situation,
just when you're dealing with the alien life forms, would be pretty useful.
Yeah, he would be, except for the fact we've already found out that he's a chicken shit because he ran away when he finds a dead alien. So
because you've never done dissections.
No, that's right. Because you're not even remotely interested in alien life. You're a biologist. You're there for what? What was your purpose?
What were you explaining?
Maybe he's not a biologist. He just put that down in his CV to get the job because all he wants is money.
Yeah.
But he's not here for the money. Yeah, he's there for Fifield's money or to make Fifield money.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. This is the most painful part of this movie.
It makes the least amount of sense. Which is saying something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole section
right up until
it just feels like filler, doesn't it? In a movie that feels as rushed as Prometheus does,
which is over 2 hours long.
Yeah, it still feels like it was put in there as filler.
I mean, is this not just 2 hours of filler, Flea?
I have heard that. It's filler with really nice special effects, though.
It is. It does look
very nice. That storm does look good. The rescue scene where Elizabeth goes, "No, the alien's head is more valuable than my life," and jumps right into it is really, really well done, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Because her husband.
That was a heroic moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, her husband is like, "No, my wife," and drives out on that buggy and instantly loses it. And then David comes out there, lying on the end.
Yeah. So this is Holloway's character once again doing a little bit of a flip before flipping again shortly thereafter.
Honestly, I had a vein in my head just going dum, dum, dum.
Yeah,
That whole sequence, right up until, like I said, up until the moment Fifield gets that whole sequence from we've affected the atmosphere, that there's a storm coming. That
Yeah.
whole bit of this movie hurt. It legitimately hurt my brain.
it's
Fortunately, while I was watching, I'd called it a night when I watched it, so I was lying in bed with half a packet of chocolate digestives and a really nice cup of tea. So I survived that part unscathed.
you fell asleep, didn't you?
My blood sugar levels may have gone up a bit because every time it got too much, I just ate a biscuit.
Yes.
Honestly, I was tempted to start drinking again. You know what I mean? It's like, would 10 beers be useful right now just to dull the pain?
I mean, yeah, it was.
Oh.
It was a lot of choices in that. Very, very strange. Once again, it is definitely. We need it. It's almost like, oh, we need an action. This film's been going for an hour or so now, and nothing's happened.
Whose
We need an
fault's
action
that?
scene.
It's almost like they're surprised. Oh, we've got an hour's worth of footage and we've done nothing. Who the fuck's
I wonder if when they actually went right there, we finished with this
bastard
film,
audience?
Let's get it into editing. They gave it to the editor. Unfortunately, the editor was doing drugs at the time and put the wrong bits of the film back together.
I mean,
so the actual film itself is lying on a cutting room floor somewhere.
You have to check out one of my news articles. I can't remember which one it is. It's fucking Ridley Scott calls all the fans and blames all the fans for this movie.
Hang on, isn't that what Hollywood does these days? It's not us. It's all these big corporations, Hollywood, Disney, all these people who make
bastard
films.
customers.
It's like it's not us. It's not us. It's the fans who hate us. The fans are against us.
I think what I find objectionable really is how willing to rip the shit out of other directors Ridley Scott is. That's what annoys me. He's like, constantly calling down other directors or other movies and then produces shit like this. And I think that's what really, really annoys me about him. I don't know what is he just like not the bitterest man on the planet? Is that what it is?
He's went complete George Lucas. This is, you know what I mean? Ooh. You can actually plot the same sort of progression with George Lucas and Ridley Scott. They're two peas of the same pod. They started off okay, and let's be honest, same as George Lucas. If he hadn't had Steven Spielberg and good writers and he wouldn't have got anywhere. Ridley Scott had Dan O'Bannon and H.R. Geiger. If it wasn't for that, you know what I mean? Who would he be?
Yeah.
And every time they've tried to do something on their own, like, what really has Ridley Scott done? His name has been about in the zeitgeist, you know, as a fucking second coming of directors, whatever. Yeah. But what has he actually done outside of Alien?
Well, I think that he's probably right. I think generally with like their earlier stuff was better than the later stuff they did, and that would certainly make sense when you think that when they were younger they were more willing to perhaps take advice from other people, whereas they got to the stage where they think they know better than everybody and they surround themselves with yes men, and nobody's there able to go, actually, Ridley, that's not going to work. That's not so good.
That's why they absolutely hate YouTubers.
I mean,
this is why they despise us, because we aren't owned by. If you think about before these platforms came, how did you find out about movies or discuss them? It was all media, you know, as in news media or entertainment shows, all carefully scripted, choreographed, chilled. So you weren't getting any sort of honest take. It was all, this is brilliant, buy it, buy product, buy next product. This is why the aversion to us, because we'll just sit here with all the fine folks that are watching and joining in the chat, and we're just and using plot points to actually rip this thing apart and the inconsistencies, and they hate that. They absolutely hate it.
Yeah, well, they should turn around though and tell us that we don't know anything because we're not
That's why they're
fancy
so
film directors or even film critics. We're not either of those things. We're
I
just,
think
you're
we're-
just
I think we're
people.
doing a
You're
pretty
just
good
people.
job
You don't know
of
what you're talking
reviews.
about.
Do you have eyes and ears so you can listen and watch?
So
So you can.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
No, but and that's why there's such a violent reaction to getting these opinions because, like you said, they've been in these bubbles
Mm.
and nobody tells them, and then all of a sudden they got three of us just sitting on a channel going, "This was shit." I've tried watching it again. I've tried to make allowances out of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna admit, it wasn't quite as shit as when I first watched it probably because I didn't pay for it.
Dun, dun, dun.
But
Maybe
maybe my expectations were lower, so I didn't come into this.
I think after 10 years of being vibrated by absolute shite from Hollywood,
Yeah.
the bar is just set so low now that
I think
anything
maybe.
compared
doesn't
to
go
some
well.
of the stuff that Hollywood has released recently, Prometheus is like really up there.
That's what I'm saying. The bar has been set so low now.
I'm not saying that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Flea and I we know where this goes. So we've got that.
Angie is really going to love Covenant.
Angie's...
She's not going. I'm expecting slightly better words than crap the next time.
Yeah, I'm expecting to get punched after this. This is 3 movies in a row, and
to be fair, I mean,
Angie's just going to walk up to me one day and just sock me in the.
I mean, Angie's not. She's not a fan of the Alien franchise in general. But the first film, she says. I think she actually said this evening. He says, she doesn't like the Alien film, but it's mainly because she's like, why don't they just switch the fucking light on? It's that kind of
well, you can do walk over to the wall.
But she understands that it's not a bad film, but it's not her thing.
Yeah,
and she understands that.
That's
which is right.
Maybe more vampire movies.
Yeah, when we kind of when I didn't force her to watch. I mean, I put them on, and she just happened to be in the room. And when I put Resurrection and
you just
Prometheus
locked the door.
Well, yeah.
You had the deadbolts button.
Yeah, yeah.
All the shutters come down.
It's basically, yeah. You better start behaving, or it's Covenant for you.
One of those questions I've got to ask: Resurrection, Prometheus. Yes. Which one is better?
Now, I did say when we did the Alien Resurrection review, I said I would rather watch Alien Resurrection over Prometheus. I have revised my opinion after watching Prometheus, and I think that perhaps I might be more inclined to watch Prometheus over Resurrection. But if I could avoid either of them, I probably would. Yeah.
Neither of them are, like I say, neither of them are the worst films I've watched. Unfortunately,
oh no, I mean they're not.
They don't sit very high above.
The worst films generally are funny to watch. You watch them and you get a laugh out of them. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But these don't fit that. These are mediocre. These are just mediocre films. So it's not like they're neither so bad they're good and they're not good either. It's just.
Yeah. Like I said, the only reason they're provoking any sort of reaction and they're not forgotten is because they've latched on to 2 great movies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's that started the whole pop culture. It's films like Alien and Aliens that created the whole sci-fi geekdom. Took it to the next level.
Yeah,
and these are like parasites. Ticks.
Yeah, the more money edition.
Yeah,
I mean, Prometheus at least attempted to be, or was alluded to being something a little bit different. That was kind of the.
If it hadn't descended into farce, that's
no.
Like,
I mean,
I still remember watching the beginning of this, and then the Eye of the Sky, and the showing all the different sculptures, and we never got a payoff for that either. Why was there a map to the planet?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of like that 2001 moment, isn't it, where they discover the monolith on the moon, Then the next second, the screen goes blank. You're in orbit around Jupiter.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
no in between. It goes from like the thing that started it to like the final, more or less
That's
the final.
the cut it out of the book. You know what I mean? The book explains it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a weird one, isn't it? I mean, you're talking about like the drawings and the paintings that they find.
That was going somewhere interesting. We actually had an interesting concept.
Well, then again, but none of that really makes sense either, as well. So why were the paintings there? Why had they been left there? They assumed that, like Shaw and Holloway assumed that it's because it's a map. They're inviting us there, which is a fairly logical assumption. If you didn't want anybody to go,
your project number Alpha 103.
Was it a
here's
map?
where we want you to make 2.
Or was it a warning?
Well, who sent the warning then?
Yeah, it makes we got no payoff for it.
The tall blokes talking to the little blokes. They're the ones who drew the maps.
But there's
it had to be the tall blokes because the.
But why were the tall blokes talking to the little blokes? Because from what we can gather, that's not how it worked. It was like one tall bloke drinks some black goo, falls into a waterfall, life begins.
He did look quite surprised when his leg fell off.
Surely there would be a better way to do that as well.
I mean.
Well, I think it's part of the religious, you know.
It's like that scene in Alien Resurrection where the 3 aliens are going like, okay, which one of us is going to die so we can escape? It's like they're on the big alien ship and they're like, okay, which one of us is going to drink the goo in order to start life on this planet?
But that's the thing. It's like, I mean, it was obviously like it's some kind of DNA dispersal mechanism or something, right? Because
but it was almost religious. And yeah, they had it's like they were trying to do a religious thing, but they didn't have the follow through to make it a religious practice. If this is a ceremony, and you would actually think they would have like some sort of ceremony, and he waits and kneels and chants and whatever, and then they all get off in the ship and he drink. But there was none of that, no payoff for it.
Kind of like jumping right to the end of Prometheus for a moment. It's kind of like we must stop that alien ship because they're going to go to Earth and they're going to destroy us all. Why would there be a map telling people how to get to where they are if they hate
this was my point. This was my point. And who drew the map? Because clearly that all happened long before humans had even appeared, because that was the whole point. They were creating
the trans-European language. That's why David was studying the language.
Yeah.
There was a build up to something interesting here.
Yeah.
And then they just went
that was the end of it.
Let's do this instead.
Yeah. And that was the thing, is then suddenly it's like, oh no, they were coming to destroy us. Why? What was the point? Well, they're coming to destroy us. Who's drawn the map inviting people to go to this place if they just want to destroy everything on the planet anyway?
That's why I'm wondering whether or not it's a warning telling us not to go there.
But why would you do that?
Why would you do anything? Why? Who's drawn the pictures? Because
ask Ridley Scott. I don't know.
Well, this is my point: is that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just because they needed a way to get people to LV-233 in the movie. So lazy writing just says, "Hey, well, just have some cave painting. We don't have to explain where that came from." Oldie time folk.
Starts at something interesting, just turns into a pointless plot.
That's it. It could have been, it was like starts off with quite an interesting little mystery and turns into a slasher film, effectively, or
that's an insult to slasher films.
I mean, it is.
Let's not get. This is a horror channel. Let's not go there. There's no call for that.
Listen, you made me watch Prometheus.
That's right.
The knives are out now. That's how it's going to be.
Next week's conversation is going to be even better. Everyone's going to be just sitting with
welcome to horror.
It's just going to be like a bunch of us just sitting there like that.
Bastard, you know.
So 2 hours of that, folks. Look forward to that.
So what do you think of the film? No bad.
Be it you.
Yeah, you know what? I reckon I'm going to really enjoy Covenant now.
Do you know what? I'm not looking forward to watching Covenant again, but I'm looking forward to next week's chat about it.
I think
We should watch it. We should have like a reaction stream where we just watch it live on stream. You can just see people crying, saying, "Please go."
yeah, it'll be like Gogglebox. We could have cameras set up in each of our living rooms. There'll be me and Ange sat there,
and
the old couple watching.
And you'll be like, "This is crap."
Yeah. Why is he doing that? What's that all? Why do you do that? This
We'll
is
never
shit.
do that in my house.
Well,
You know.
They'll just tell her that's been a discussion on the internet for like a decade now. We're
So you
still
don't
trying
have-
to figure it out.
You don't have to watch the film. You just have to like look at a discussion and just take a few like highlights. Just like take a few like sound bites from it. That's it. You don't have to watch the film. You can get away with that.
Yeah. Still.
Oh.
Anyway, where were we?
Right. So we haven't even got to the Cobra bit.
I know.
There's just so much to talk about in this film.
I know, right?
So the Cobra bit. Tell us about the Cobra bit.
How about if it looks like a cobra, it hisses like a cobra, maybe treat it like a cobra? I don't know, and especially if you're a biologist.
Now, Phil reliably informs me that there's a deleted scene that it tells you why Fifield and Nigel act so weird around this thing.
Is it because the atmospheric gases have got to their brains?
I think it might have something to do with
Drugs.
I'm just, whoever wrote this script decided that
Is it
we had
something
to have a
do
couple
with,
of corpses.
Oh, isn't it something to do with the fact that Fifield's life support unit seems to be filled with tobacco or something?
Oh, yes, that's right.
God,
Yeah.
there's another reason not to like him. He's a fucking vapor.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever been sat there? Have you ever been sat on a bus behind someone with a roast chicken flavored vape? Oh
No,
my god! Oh my!
Oh,
If it wasn't roast chicken, I ain't got the foggiest idea what it was. But it was like, no, it smelled just like roast chicken. It was like,
do you know what? Even in the heyday of smoking in the 80s, people weren't as obnoxious with cigarettes as vapors are.
No, that's true.
I don't mind smokers, but I grew up in a family of smokers, so.
So did I. Freaking, I'm the only my niece as well. The only non-smokers in the entire family. Like my aunt, I remember my aunt and uncle's house. Like their ceiling was yellow.
Yeah. Ours was pretty much the same.
Well, we kind of lived in a pub for a while, so we kind of before the smoking ban. So we were kind of used to
awesome.
All that.
You just got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like, poof.
I know. I apologize for going completely off topic. Nowadays, why is it all smokers all stand around the door? So when you exit, you just walk in.
Because they're not allowed to be any farther in. It's like
no, that's right. They're not. But why do you have to stand around the door? Why, so that anybody that walks in and out of the pub just has to walk through this cloud?
So you get the full impact of what life used to be like.
In the 70s. When pubs were cool.
Back when they'd be sitting there, and even like old Jack's Whippet would have a cigarette on. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and a pint of mild.
I missed that. What did?
No, just Phil was saying there's a load of. The thing is, they didn't include any of that in the Blu-ray.
None of the.
They only had a half of scenes. In fact, one scene. Do you know the actual only poignant scene in this between Shaw and Holloway, where she's talking about? They actually replaced it with another sex scene, which was horrendous.
Oh my god, a horrendous sex scene! Tell me more.
You're talking about Spanish. He's about to slap her and shake her, and then they start shagging, and you're like,
what? He
just started being a dick to her for no reason, and then she goes to storm off, and he grabs her, and then next thing and you're like, oh my god, fuck, what is this? That's one that definitely deserved to be cut out because it was awful.
Well, this is Holloway again doing his transformation of character,
schizophrenic character.
I thought my personality jumped around a bit, but gosh, whew.
Yeah.
What was that? The Beast. What do you call his character? McAvoy's.
The Split in Split, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Where it's like 50 different personalities.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
my headache
beast.
just thinking about that. Oh,
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh.
we've jumped away from the snake, haven't we?
Because it's so dumb. I mean,
It is
and
dumb. It is dumb.
the fact is, we're watching this movie. We don't have the cutscene, and why didn't they put? You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
there's loads of shit that could have taken out to put that scene in to make it make sense. But I'm sorry, if it looks like a snake, it acts like
Yeah.
one. You don't go
Right,
poking at
right.
it.
I'm
You
gonna
don't
go.
poking at random life
Well,
forms.
it's not even.
I'm gonna
it's-
go. I'm going to go full science mode here. It's because
Okay.
the high concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, together with the partial pressure of oxygen, made his brain go tingly.
But they have their helmets on.
Shoot me down, White, don't you?
Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
damn it.
If it,
I was
if
that invested
it
in
had
the
been
film at that
Holloway,
moment.
it would have
I
made
noticed that.
sense.
But I mean, would it have made sense at that point?
Maybe
Because
Fifield.
I
mean,
yeah,
Coo-hoo,
this is the guy that had just run away from a corpse of an alien, the
yes.
biologist.
Well, he was kind of like he
For
was
some
told,
reason,
he was
when
told
this,
to run away by Fifield, really, wasn't he?
well, I mean,
Are you coming or not?
yeah.
That's still, like I said, that whole from that point, it just hurts. It's just painful. Your brain just wants to leave. It's like my brain's going, I don't want to be here anymore. Can I just step out for a minute? Because why are you doing this to me?
What would you do if you were in that situation with those two? It'd be like you'd have Fifield going like, bloody hell, it's an alien. You'd have like Nigel the botanist going, boop, boop, here, come here, thing. Hey, Flea, what do you think about that? All you see of Flea is the sound of footsteps retreating down the corridor at speed. I'd be so it's like, do you know what? There's something alive here, there's something alive that way. I'm gonna go and stand in the middle.
Yeah, I'm just not going to go into the right. There's something moving about in there. I'm going to wait outside because there's only two of us. We don't have any equipment. Let's not mess about with it.
I'm thinking like that. I think it's called a hammer worm, isn't it? Or a hammer snake.
Something like that. It was dumb.
Yeah.
Is it
It
kind
was-
of like, is that what the black goo has done to one of the little worms that was wiggling around in like the soil in there?
We don't know because guess what? They didn't do a survey and they didn't take soil samples to go, oh, there's life here. We get none of that.
Wait, yeah. I mean, there's no explanation as to where this thing has come from. We know nothing about it. No life form has been mentioned prior to this.
Do you know what? Cut out that entire storm scene. That storm scene was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Also, we've got like 45
made
minutes.
no sense.
We've got like 45 minutes off the runtime now as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But cut out that entire storm scene, right?
Pretty
And
soon.
carry on with it all together, but Fifield and Holloway or not Holloway, fucking dum
Nigel, yeah.
goes in and gets infected. So then they rush back to the ship.
Yeah.
And then everything else transpires from there.
It
would be less painful.
It
storm scene in this.
If
Prometheus,
the thing is, we don't know if Prometheus was bigger. They could have done the whole like Fifield gets infected, gets taken back to the ship, escapes. Then it could have turned into a suspense horror similar to the original Alien.
Well, I suppose that's kind of the problem. There is that you're retreading old ground at that point. Then, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, that's apparently that's called a homage.
Well, I mean, yeah, but this isn't Alien.
Prometheus
not an Alien movie, remember?
And not only that, but we're going to get that a little later on when after Holloway becomes infected by David. Anyway, so all that's kind of going to come along in a moment. So you can't really have it and then do the same thing again.
At least Resurrection had the decency to steal people out of ships.
Yeah.
And not just experiment on the working crew that they brought with them.
It's like that. I feel, but
when they didn't know who they were going to need or not need to actually get off the planet safely and get back.
Right. Yeah. So,
they left the crew of the ship, the Prometheus, on board the Prometheus. I think that is a top move until they decided to leave for themselves.
Yeah.
But when the crew needed to be on board the ship, they were there.
Yeah, and this, of course, we've got Vickers doing the Ripley bit at that point as well, haven't we?
What was Vickers? Vickers just happened to be sleepwalking around this movie, like throwing random comments in.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. When they're coming back with Fifield and he's infected.
Well, they come back with Holloway, and he's now after he's been infected.
Sorry.
Because this is it. Because you get confused. They go out to the temple, and they come back because of the storm or whatever, and we've lost our 2 people. The captain,
the storm that lasts 5 minutes, so the police waited inside anyway until it was over. Because
then they go back again. They go back again, but at this point, David has infected Holloway with some of the black goo. And we see some kind of worm-like creature in Holloway's eye, don't we? At this, when he, scary. So he knows that he's infected with something, doesn't he? Because he's on the Prometheus before they go back, and he knows there's something wrong with him. So he does what any rational, reasonable scientist would do, and completely ignores it.
Yeah.
To go back, not tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
No. It's. Do you know what it is? You know when somebody gets shot in a movie, in an action movie, right? And they wait till the last minute so they can pull their jacket open.
Yeah, and you can see, and then you realize, oh no, they're going to die. That kind of thing. Yeah.
It was that sort of cliche, like guff.
Yeah.
Or the zombie, or the person that gets bit by the zombie.
Yeah, and covers it up.
And covers it up.
Because there's no I don't understand why he didn't mention it to anybody. They just go rushing back out to the temple where he gets very sick. And then we have another scene where they have to quickly leave because.
But why did he go rushing back to the temple? Because we already know from the fact he's become an alcoholic, he's disappointed, and he's decided the temple isn't what they were looking for.
It's just a tomb.
It's just another tomb. And then he goes, walks off and spends the rest of the
It's just a tomb on an alien world with aliens, but sure. Yeah.
But I suppose the difference is by this point we now know.
Plus, it's not just a tomb; it's fucking got advanced technology and buttons and holographs.
Yeah.
Fuck, you know what I mean? Once again,
it's not a tomb; it's a weapons factory.
Yeah, and now
that's a big reveal at the end.
Yeah. But we all know that there's actually a life form there now because Captain Yannick let Fifield and Nigel know before he switched off the radio.
Sleep tight.
So we know.
The thing that gets me is like the storm. Oh yeah, the storm's got silica and wind and enough static electricity to short your suits out. Yeah. So going back during the rescue, where Elizabeth loses her footing while running after the alien head, and her husband, can't remember
Holloway,
Nobed. Yeah, Nobed.
Yeah.
He goes after her and crashes this little like space bike thingy, and
because suddenly he cares.
Yeah, and David like comes out dangling off the end of a cable and grabs them both and takes them in. Why didn't any of their suits fail? If there's enough static
maybe
in there.
they just it would have taken at least another 30 seconds, I guess.
Well, that was lucky then, wasn't it? But the thing is, if you can survive for a couple of minutes in this storm and they realized they were behind, why didn't they jump into the big, boxy, armored ATV 8-wheeler thing, drive back, park in front of the entrance to the thing, run inside quickly before their suits shorted out, and just go and bring them back?
Because this film needs some things to happen. It
could have been like, oh, thank God you found us. Hammer Snake slithers up his suit leg. It's.
But yeah, so we've now established as well that from the Prometheus we can detect life forms. Yeah. I don't recall the following morning when the storm's gone and they're going to go and retrieve. They're going to go back to the temple. They didn't mention. Did they mention that Fifield and Nigel were no longer alive?
No, which is weird.
Kind of got swept under the rug.
I mean, you could see on the map that was on like the bridge of the Prometheus. You could see it. You could see it was tracking the locations of people.
Right. I don't know if I just missed it or whether it
Well,
actually.
it's like they didn't mention it, but when like Captain Idris discovered that they were dead was when he crawled out of Vickers's bed and went back to the bridge.
Ah, right. So he did mention it then.
Yeah, that's always the just poke stuff. Yep.
If you're going to spoke mysterious black ooze, at least use a spoon. I mean, it's like you got one of the tongue depressors, poke. You know, it's don't go in there with your finger.
You drop off as well, and you're like,
I mean, the only thing that it could have been worse if he poked his finger, looked at it, nicks it.
yeah, and it wasn't what Ridley wanted. It was all our fault. It was the fans' fault.
Tastes just like chocolate.
So we discover that because they do find the bodies of at least one of Nigel, don't they? They find Nigel's body. Nigel, who's he's
an ex. Can I just say I did enjoy the scene where they were being tapped by the hammers. Oh, it's going to break my arm.
When he breaks his arm, that was
snap.
I mean, it was pretty grim.
The spacesuit he's wearing is so amazing that the bone from the compound pokes through the suit and makes the hole that the damn thing gets into his suit in. How rubbish are those spacesuits?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but they weren't like hammer snake proof. They were designed to withstand the rigors of space exploration.
Or they're super, they're like armadillos, they're crunchy on the outside, smooth on the inside. So, like, they can be out in a storm with silicon and rock and stuff, and that's fine, just bounces off.
Yeah.
Oh, we poke from inside and just disintegrates.
But we do find, as I say, Nigel.
Poor Nigel.
His body, but they don't find Firefields, do they? Because
plot device for later.
Because something's going to happen later. Yeah.
I also did like the bit where they rolled Nigel over, and it was like there's something in his orbital, and then it just kind of gets like out of his eye socket, which is quite good.
Because that wasn't a cliche at all.
I know I wasn't supposed to, but I did laugh when that happened.
Do you know what it is? Ridley Scott sat down and watched every B movie like for 12 hours straight before he got into the director's chair.
Yeah. Well, 12 hours straight and then didn't sleep for 36 hours.
And then jumped in the director's chair.
He sat there watching Tarantula, and he's like, no, this is far too good for me to take anything out of. Same with them.
It's more, I can do this. I can do this. So that's at the point that that Holloway becomes ill, and we know this because he falls over, which indicates that there's something not right. And now at this point, they just before they actually find Nigel's body, isn't it? So he falls over. He's clearly unwell. Shaw sees that he's unwell, but doesn't say anything to anyone. Yeah, and they just carry on.
Once again, when you're away in some sort of expedition or like in a camp or something, right, in a faraway land, one of the worst things actually, like DMV.
Yeah.
Once somebody gets the squirts, they're immediately quarantined.
Yeah.
Or God, what was it we had once?
Diphtheria.
No,
that's a good one.
Stuff. It was from the sandbags. People got it from the flipping leaning on the sandbags. It's a baby. It's like a baby thing.
Like ringworm type.
No,
thing.
You say the name. It's it's highly contagious. Not like measles, but it's from a
scarlet fever.
No, impetigo or something like that.
Impetigo.
Impetigo. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Right.
So we actually had a bunch of blokes from flipping sandbags, leaning their arm in sandbags, got impetigo, and they had to be quarantined straight away.
Oh
right?
Wow.
That's that's in the modern world of not alien things bursting out of your chest.
It's understandable because if you're in a small group of people in close contact with each other, the last thing you want is.
So how the frig can super smart scientists who are going on a like?
Yeah.
I hope what's his face is taking notes for his Mars expedition.
Oh, Elon.
Yeah, I hope he's
They're
watching
no-
these
they're-
movies.
they're-
But
they're-
I'm not
they're
doing
not-
that. I'm not doing that.
They're not
Yeah.
coming back, Elon. They're not coming back.
More reason to like be not doing this stuff because the minute somebody takes sick, you quarantine them, even if it's a head cold, because that wipes out. There's the entire function of the ship gone.
Yeah.
And they get their own little plate and bowl, and that gets, they don't share the same food. And that, it's all, there's stuff in place. You use a separate toilet.
Yeah.
And that's just what either DMV or invitation, things that are minor, not life threatening, but if it carries on through, so you're in an alien planet where everything's dead, weird shit's happening.
Oh, dead Dave.
The minute somebody gets a sniffle, like, well, you quarantine now, 24 hours.
Yeah,
That's the way
particularly
it works.
they've
I
just
think it's
been
just
into an alien structure and removed their helmets, right?
I mean, just because he removes his helmet, why does everyone else? You know what? He's removed his helmet. Only remove my helmet as well.
Yeah. So anyway, but okay, I can maybe if we've already established Holloway is a reprehensible human being, so he would cover up because he wants to be part of this discovery. It's his, isn't it?
But
so he's not going to let anyone else. So,
but it's just another tomb.
Exactly. But we're going to ignore. We're going to ignore that, and we're going to say, look, Holloway, is a terrible person. He's just in it for the glory. So he wants to go back.
How much of Prometheus are we ignoring? Because at the moment we've got like the opening bit, maybe one scene in the closing credits at the moment, because we're just kind of like working our way through the film.
These are the least painful bits we can at least pick apart, because let's be honest, a lot of this movie's just guff. It's just random scenes thrown together with no actual coherency.
I tell you, I reckon the guy who edited this
could be a 5-hour stream.
Was obviously sniffing something he shouldn't have been doing when he was cutting the film up.
So back to my point. Holloway maybe is a glory hunter. He wants to get the discovery for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he would not say anything. Assume that was the thing.
Right. Okay. We'll go with that.
Okay. So we got to go.
So this is personality one of Holloway. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So when he takes sick and we see that Shaw, then his girlfriend, are they married? I don't know.
Possibly married.
His wife.
Yeah. Sees that he is sick, doesn't mention it or refuses to mention it, or she makes a decision not to mention it.
He begs her not to mention it, doesn't he?
He does.
This is when they're preparing to go into the tomb, the temple for the second time.
And this is the bit where he's fallen over. She goes to help him, sees that his eyes are completely black, which is normal.
Yeah, because that's a thing.
It's just a cold. Oh, all right then,
But
I trust you, you silly woman.
Yeah, like at what point would you'd kind of say you think that this is my partner? They're sick. They're really ill. We got to get them back to the ship. We need to. I don't want them to die.
His eyes were only completely black. I mean, if there'd been blood pouring from them as well, maybe. Yeah.
So we then have to believe that maybe Shaw is a bit of a twat as well. And doesn't really care about Holloway, but then Holloway probably doesn't deserve it, so we'll go with it. And they continue on into this.
Maybe it was because it was personality 1 and not personality 2. She loves
maybe
Shaw 2 or Holloway 2.
2. Yeah. I mean, it could.
Sorry, can I speak to Ted today? Ted's not in. It's me.
It's not here right now.
This is maybe a normal thing, Ted is not here anymore. It's just me, and the eyes change color.
Yeah.
Or he's like, what's his face? Manny faces in the Masters universe.
He's one of the most.
His eyes change color to what character it is.
I'm sure his character is a schizophrenic, just from the way he's like from one scene to another. The person he is just keeps changing.
Yeah.
Or maybe as a shit script editor. Just
after like 2.5 years in sleep, his meds have worn off.
Yeah, it's just it's probably something like that, and nothing to do with lazy writing at all. So they find Nigel, and we realize Nigel's dead. Poor Nigel. We have the whole thing popping out the eyeball, etc. What what happens now? Because they go back to
This
the
is where the
Prometheus.
really convoluted scene of them trying to get back, and
Staggering a bit, falling over a lot. He's
Vickers
ill, he's ill.
That's
put
it.
the room
That's
for him,
right.
he's ill,
spaceship
oh God,
door,
he's ill.
right?
Yeah,
So instead of closing, say a big spaceship door, which solves it when they're fucking 2 miles away with somebody sick, and she's like, nobody's getting on this ship.
yeah,
So when they've had like 20 miles or something of whatever the plot needs, because I've noticed the distance changes depending on the plot
That's,
between Prometheus and the.
that's time dilation within films. It's a proven thing.
You know what I mean? Depending on the plot, the distance between here is either a quick jump and it's 5 minutes,
Yeah.
or it's like a whole action sequence. You know, just the distance is schizophrenic as the characters. But let's just say they had about a mile or two out,
yeah.
and all Vickers has to do is go, "I'm closing the door."
Yeah.
Right. No grandstanding with a flamethrower and then all that sort of. Just close the door.
Yeah.
Right. You're not getting on.
Yeah, but like Ripley, yeah, from Alien, it could have been very much like that, wouldn't it? Quarantine procedures. I mean, maybe they haven't got quarantine procedures in 2019. Maybe.
With no history. Sorry, like I haven't brought up any examples of like current year right now.
No.
But we've got quarantine procedures and training procedures, like of loads of different things. Like that's never happened.
No.
We didn't just get friggin' locked in our houses for 2 years.
Is that COVID? What's that?
Never happened, right? So we've no clue about anything like that.
No.
Right? Okay. Yeah. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. They race back with poor sick Holloway in a scene that is actually reminiscent of them returning with Kane in the Alien film, right? Except instead of shutting the door, we have Charlize Theron putting on a spacesuit and getting hold of a flamethrower or something.
Yeah.
Or am I getting confused with the scene that happens later? They don't show anymore.
No, this is
the bit where
Yeah.
it just doesn't. Loads of stuff happens at once.
Yeah.
And then guess what? We get CGI, flippy, spinny, lovely, wonderful. Like we just love.
Yes.
Blade 2
Yeah.
type flippy, spinny. Fucking,
Yeah. So,
abomination.
yeah.
That's later. What's his name?
Fifield when he returns. That's right. 'cause-
Hatfield
Yeah,
was-
that's all that. Yeah. You see,
Hatfield's kind of she's kind of
No, this is the whole. Sorry, yes,
She's
that's
like,
right.
no,
Yeah.
no, what are you doing?
So-
Scream, Shaw,
yeah.
and he's there going,
Don't
like,
let
do
me
it,
do it,
do
do
it,
it.
do
that's
it.
it.
And
Kill
she's
me,
kind of like-
kill me.
She
Yeah.
screams, trying tonight, and immolates him.
Yeah, and she burns poor Holloway to death.
And we all feel really sorry that he's gone.
And
Considering the fact David deliberately infected him,
yeah.
wouldn't he have had something to say about that? Let's put him in the.
Well, you see now, that's another interesting point, because is David so smart that he infected Holloway knowing that he was going to bang Shaw that very evening, create a little alien baby?
Well, he did give him champagne, you know, they say about champagne.
Yeah, well, yes,
Mhm.
it's an aphrodisiac. He
Yeah.
gave him
Also-
champagne and oysters.
Also,
Yeah,
he
that's
brought,
what I was just going to say. That
he brought a rose back with him. I mean,
oysters, you go, boy. Slap them in the arse in the way, you know.
cheesy
Come on,
70s
the-
music. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
wow.
That would have
Yeah,
been better.
he'd got the Barry White on. He
No,
was all
it's
of
the
that.
revolving bed.
It wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been more obvious is if he'd have walked through the door and Shaw had been there bent over the washing machine.
Oh,
The washing machine's broken, can you fix it? Why, yes, I can. You know.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so-
I have no money to pay you. Can I pay you in other ways?
yeah.
That would have
that's
been a better
just-
plot than this.
It's like, congratulations, you're 3 months pregnant. Whoa!
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? Because this is the moment where Holloway burns to a crisp, and Shaw passes out with grief, and she wakes up shortly thereafter with Probably the creepiest Doctor ever, old David. Who,
That's only the beginning of her troubles.
well, this is the thing. David basically reveals his
You visit this later.
he
How many
reveals his
people-
true colours here, right, David?
Honestly, creepy or not, how many people would complain if they woke up in a hospital bed with Michael Fassbender sitting next to it?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? I mean,
Those
because
Crocs should give you enough warning about somebody. Like honestly, those Crocs would, if somebody's in beside you with those Crocs on, you're like, yeah, no thanks.
Okay, and maybe waking up and Michael Fassbender's there leaning over you or whatever. But then when he tells you that you're now you're expecting, you might be a little bit concerned. And this is where he kind of reveals that he's a bit of a dick to Shaw, isn't it? This is it's like almost like he's kind of toying with her a little bit, ha ha ha.
It's
Yeah,
like, you're part of my
you've got an alien in you now.
It's like it's like I am actually evil, and now I am going to monologue at you.
Yeah. But he doesn't really do that. He kind of just hints that.
I see Phil keeps saying in chat that it's down to David's god complex, but it's like I've read that he's supposed to have a god complex, but it's never actually visited or mentioned in the film.
But I mean, maybe this is one of the things that comes out, because I mean, I know that Phil's seen all of the deleted scenes, and he did say that it does bring forward some of the motivations of the characters a little bit more, makes them a bit clearer, and so maybe Phil knows that that David has got this because it's probably one of the deleted
Where's
scenes.
the director's cut?
What do you the original film? Listen. This is Ridley Scott, mate. This is Ridley Scott, and this is his project. And he knew everything that was going on about it. And
sorry,
so this is the director's cut.
This does the director's cuts to give you a wee bit more insight. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah,
this movie is the more popular movie.
Yeah.
How much?
I bet you that really sticks in his craw as well.
Oh my god, they're really. Oh, there's an extended.
James Cameron actually made the more popular movie that actually stuck in the zeitgeist more than his. That probably is. This is probably what this is all led up to.
He's just an incredibly bitter person.
I have been cataloging this, and his journey. This is actually his revenge on James Cameron, because he has never got over the fact that James Cameron made a more popular movie.
Well, that's a good point. Has Ridley Scott ever has he ever kind of aired his opinion of Aliens in public? Because I've never heard him make any kind of comment about it.
He's the type that he knows that he wouldn't win.
Because it's massively popular. He'd have to say, "Oh yeah, it's a really good film."
Yeah, if that would be the end of him, because don't forget, James Cameron has just as big an ego.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't win against James Cameron, because unlike Ridley Scott, James Cameron has actually made memorable movies and memorable
popular
sequels.
films. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and it's been consistent. Now, yes, he's wobbled the same as everybody else, but his track record is far superior to Ridley Scott's.
Well, I think I wouldn't necessarily say he's made better films, but they've been more popular. They certainly have. Box office takings are definitely higher.
His track record, in terms of button heads, Ridley Scott's not going to take that on, because he'll lose.
Yeah.
And he at least has that self-awareness. He's a little sniveling rat. The one that if he knows he can't beat you, he'll stab you in the back. So maybe
wait, that's grimy worm tongue.
Sure, he's went after Fede Alvarez.
For the new one, Romulus. Yeah. Oh no, that's right. But although originally,
after
the first time he saw the film, he said it was fantastic. He was really glowing reviews.
He's done interviews and other hit pieces have went out, and then
now
journalist opinions. They never directly. Ridley Scott's a weasel. He's an utter slimeball, and he's got a complex about, like I said, James Cameron making a more popular movie and actually putting aliens on the map more in his movie. And this has been a thing. He thought he was going to relaunch and have that all forgotten and retake everything. It didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
And now the fact that, like said, Noah Hawley's like, I'm forgetting Prometheus, that's stuck in his craw. The fact that he's went back to producer instead of directing. Romulus is the same. Oh, we're going back to the old school. But it was good. They're saying without saying. They're putting him in his box, and he really doesn't like it.
No.
And then all these hit pieces have started miraculously appearing over the last couple of weeks.
Ooh,
Yeah, he's not a pleasant person.
No. So where were we? We were.
We were trying to explain what's happening in this movie, and I'm just explaining Ridley
So
Scott.
so we've got that's right. We have David now, who's kind of revealed his true colors to Shaw,
The Machiavellian villain that he is.
and so we find that Shaw. I mean that's quite a creepy bit, isn't it? Where she says, "I want to see it," like she's talking about this fetus that she seems to have that's 3 months gone.
David,
I want to see it, and he says,
to
"That's
face
not a
away
good
from it.
idea." Yeah,
It's
I wouldn't advise it.
It's not a normal fetus.
Yes.
Turns the monitor away from that.
Yeah.
That could possibly be the best scene in the entire film.
Yeah, I mean, this is David being mega creepy. This is like probably him at his creepiest at that very moment.
But if he had any sense, he would say she had stomach cramps.
Well, if he'd have, I mean,
tapeworm.
He didn't. But I mean, if this is David basically wanting to lord it over Shaw a little bit, which is kind of what it felt like. It feels like he's trying to kind of say, I got you.
Part of my plan. First. That's the sort of mad scientist reveal when you're strapped to the table and can't move.
Yeah, well, I guess he figures at that point
get up and kick and run about and do something about it.
But he probably at that point doesn't. He doesn't think there's any way she can actually remove it, except there's obviously in the next room.
Oh, you mean the major plot device, which we were introduced on the lifeboat? Like that wasn't telegraphed at all.
Yes. Which
that she opens up the thing and starts operating it, and Vickers goes, "Don't touch that." You know.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't going to be important later.
No, we're not going to be needing this.
It's like foreshadowing. What's that? No.
So we have this medical pod then, which is apparently only programmed to operate on male patients.
That makes loads of sense.
I think this goes to back where it's like, when Wayland comes into it and he looks at Vickers and goes, "Oh, you decided to come along after all." I think the life pod thing that Vickers lives in is there for Wayland to use on the journey back to Earth, which is why the medical pod is male only. But why is it male only? Because
it's only for his use. It's only for Wayland's use. That's the deal.
Yeah, but surely the difference it being like for men only, women only, or men and women is just a matter of the software that's in it.
Yeah, it's just we don't have that procedure loaded.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is is Wayland on this ship? Oh, shock horror! But then we haven't fucking known that from the start of the movie.
But I mean, it's a little bit pointless. It's like you say. It's like why would you have it just set up for male patients? Why? What's
Wayland's ego? Wayland's ego.
What? No.
That's all it was. Do not try and read into this any more than what it is. It's just the telegraph. It's just an Easter egg to go, "Oh, Wayland's on the ship," which you already know from the hologram and everything else.
But the fact that Vickers and David have already had a conversation about speaking to him.
Yes. It's the same. It's the same kind of plot importance as why did the three bears put their porridge out before they went out?
To cool down. Everybody knows that.
Yes, but it was all different temperatures anyway.
But that's
damn you, Daddy Bear, for using a heated plate.
So, anyway,
and porridge doesn't get that hot. Like, it was like molten lava temperatures.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just like cold porridge. Maybe they're just like really cold porridge.
Oh,
the bears. Who the hell knows? How do they even make porridge? They can't even stir. Anyway,
is this the opposable thumb thing? Like the cats would take over the world?
Cats would totally take over the world if they had opposable thumbs.
These are better plot lines in this movie.
If bears had opposable thumbs, they'd make better porridge.
Yeah, if cats had opposable thumbs, they'd still sit on their arse and meow and wait for you to do it.
If the writer of this movie had a few more brain cells, could we have had a coherent plot?
Anyway, so we've got this pod that is in the next room, which is convenient. And Shaw, after finding out that she's got an alien inside her, to suck all of the drama out out of this whole thing,
Spoilers,
rushes into the room immediately,
Spoilers.
and finds that this thing can only operate on people, because she asks for a cesarean, doesn't she?
Yes.
And he says, "I'm sorry, this is only for male patients."
So why would the
and
machine?
So she just says,
"Why would the machine have like the cesarean selection there if it's only for them?"
Well, it didn't. She was talking to it.
Not loaded. So she went remove foreign body.
Oh, I thought she was just talking to actually fill the audience in to what was happening and maybe keep them awake.
I guess everybody here has been in the shared office at some point.
Yeah.
You know you can have PIN codes and photocopiers.
Yeah.
Oh, my appendix. Can anybody remember what the PIN code is? Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, God.
Please enter PIN.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
I'm worried about it only being
peritonitis.
I mean, it turns out maybe that old Wayland, he can't bear the thought of climbing into a medical pod that's been used by somebody else previously.
Yeah, because
it will be dirty.
What do you call him out of Superman 3?
The clean
freak. I never wore the same pair of socks twice. I wonder what they turned him into when he's talking to Richard Pryor's character.
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking. Oh, I never used the same medical pod twice. Like there's only 5 in existence or something like that.
I've already used 4 of them. It's like, whoa. It's gone on the feet.
Anyway, she does. She programs it to remove a foreign body from her abdomen. And the computer obviously can't seem to understand that this is clearly a female body.
It performs
not a male one.
It performs the perfect cesarean on her.
It does. It certainly does.
It doesn't whip her womb out. It just takes out the alien thing in the alien thing's weird sack.
That's right.
The bit where it doesn't cut her umbilical cord, so it does, because it doesn't understand women. So she literally gets hold of the umbilical cord and yanks her out of itself.
Yeah. Hardcore. Yeah. It's actually it is a pretty intense scene.
That scene made my belly button itch.
I think it's quite effective in that regard. Once we get past the stupid cesarean bit,
there are some good scenes in it. The problem is there's only like 2 or 3 of them,
and they're quite short because
it's surrounded by dumb. So you have to wade through like a sea of dumb to get to like a good scene, and then you have to wade back out after into more dumb.
Yeah, and maybe it's not that good. It's just it seems good because it's sandwiched between
the bar has been lowered that much in this movie. You're like, oh, something's actually intense happening.
It's just it's the fact the machine removes the thing, and then it just kind of stops and pauses and waits until she yanks her umbilical cord out, and then it just kind of like staples her back together again.
It does, yeah.
She's such a good character running around a ship like that with.
Plus, also, I have to mention that the people only have one set of underwear in this.
That's a bit dirty.
It's not even underwear. It's just like bandages.
It's like a rat.
It's like
future underwear, you know.
Yeah, made out of bandages, crepe bandages.
I've got a proper name for that, but that'd be revealing far too much.
Yeah, well, I thought these were quite revealing, to be honest.
It's called a Fudoshi, believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we get this like part squid, part alien thing that gets ripped out of Shaw at this point. She gets stapled back together. And it is quite a grisly scene, I think, that one. It's quite unpleasant as she's kind of stuck in this pod with this thing hanging over her, trying to get back to her, isn't it?
Yeah.
And she manages to escape. It's quite a messy little scene. And then she activates something in the pod, some kind of sterilization process, right? Which appears to kill said little squid thing. In fact, doesn't it explode or something inside? Isn't there a messy little splat on the inside? Or am I imagining that?
No, it just kind of the last thing is just kind of like handing their limp in the clap.
Okay.
And there's like liquid dripping off its dripping off its
yeah. I'm just
nose bit. I haven't got the foggiest idea, and there's all that steam in the background.
Because you wouldn't finish the job and have a biohazard like
No.
section.
Let's face it, we can't have anything like that because we need something to happen later.
Sorry, yes, that's the plot.
No foreshadowing whatsoever, folks. No.
We're not going to see this again later.
It's more like five shadowing. It's like,
and so
a bit of a pattern throughout this movie.
Yeah. And so she runs out after having been this.
Oh, you can walk out off no bother.
I mean,
she's just continuously like injecting herself with drugs.
Yeah, I mean, she seems to be in a bit of a bad way, and that's when she stumbles into the room where David is looking after old man Wayland, who is now awake.
In his feet, yes.
Yeah.
And what feet they are.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to an age now
my father
where
had feet like that because he wore football boots that were too small for him.
Yeah. Wayland's feet is probably the worst part of this movie.
It's the most terrifying aspect of this film.
It's like, whoa.
Instagram would be proud.
It's like, oh, look at this.
Do you know what we need to do?
God.
Actually, have you I can't even look at Instagram. It's freaking horrendous. We need to just cut that scene and just everybody spend a week uploading it to the shorts and use all the feet hashtags.
Oh, God.
Just to mess with the Insta host. That would be hilarious. Ever notice that there every so often you get bombarded and you have to like don't want to see us, and then
no, thank God I'm not on Instagram.
And you just get bombarded.
Yeah, I don't really do social media, so I get to avoid a lot of this stuff.
So I abandoned social media when I discovered it was a cesspit of hate.
Well, when you run a channel, you have to.
I mean, you've got no choice. This is true.
This is true.
Yeah, this is why I let other people do that shit for us. So, yeah. So surprise. Wayland's on the ship, everyone.
No,
nobody saw that.
Right.
Not in a million years.
Shock.
And he's going to go and meet with an engineer because obviously we've had some scenes earlier that we've neglected to mention.
Oh, that's another shock.
Yeah, and she wants him to die.
I'm going to meet with my maker, he says, sounding like a real budget Churchill.
It is, but we haven't mentioned that David has been back to the temple and discovered a live engineer.
Oh, that's right, because he's doing the weird thing.
The little probe that got stuck and was detecting something down there that was alive. So sleep well.
Yeah, and so
he goes and find it by driving one of those like all-terrain space bikes in there.
Yes, and then once again we're subjected to another one of these holographic recordings that the aliens, blessed aliens, left behind, thankfully, so that we could all see exactly how to operate the spaceship.
That was quite fun. That space map though was kind of nice.
Was that not the weirdest thing? That the whole pipe, play the flute to activate the spaceship thing.
You haven't seen Covenant yet.
You know what? Look,
there's no space.
I know that Michael Fassbender does the fingering. That's all I need to know.
Are we talking about his bedside manner again? It's like there's no space flutes. There are no space flutes in Covenant. I will tell you that. There
is a flute in Covenant. I've seen the clip.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a short penny whistle. It's like an halfpenny whistle.
But he has a whole range because that's. We'll get there. That's a whole other 6-hour conversation.
Oh God! Oh.
So we know that we have a live engineer, and Wayland is going to go and meet this engineer. Of course, David has his own plan. We just don't know what it is. But
he doesn't know what it is either.
And we will never learn. We'll find out what it is before David does.
And so poor old Numi has just been subjected to this terrible surgical procedure, this terrifying ordeal that she's had. But says, "Oh, I'll come along."
I love the way she alternates between being perfectly fine to, crunching over when the plot needs it.
Yeah. So, So despite having just lost her fiance, and finding out that she's been carrying or had been impregnated with some alien creature, which she's just had removed through some rather traumatic surgery, she decides to go. Yeah, meet the engineer with
not to be as ideal as she thought it would. Who'd be?
I don't know about you. I would go and have a lie down for 10 minutes.
I mean, that would have been a logical thing. Yeah,
close the door, switch off the lights.
At what point do you do fuck this shit, right?
Because a bottle of booze, if it wasn't for the fact her husband had drunk it all.
I mean, yeah, and you can't trust bottles of booze on the Prometheus, that's for sure.
Oh no,
the bottles of booze is fine. It's the glasses.
It's when David took
it went. Yeah, that's right. Because the way he carried the glass was a bit suspect.
Oh, you see it? You see him doing it? He drops.
You do, yeah. He goes.
He diddled it with his finger, and it went bloop.
He did, yeah. He does a lot of things with his
fingers.
Do
you know what? Why didn't, like, as a kid, if you have something weird in your finger, your instinct to go. He never did that once. That's how you know he's not human.
He held it.
No, he does.
He held it up.
He does.
Weird.
Yeah, no, I thought he does. But it's with the slime, isn't it? He does something, and doesn't he smell that?
Because I bet everybody who was watching this film when at the beginning, when Michael finds where David finds that slime, he's like, interesting. Everybody was like, oh my god, aliens.
Yeah. I mean,
there's another bit where they're looking at the pile of dead bodies, and I'm sure someone goes, look how this is bent out. It's almost like he exploded from the it, and then something distracts him, and you're like, aliens.
Remember? Jangle keys. Here's the keys. Remember this.
It wasn't aliens.
And the next thing we know, our heroine, Shaw, is accompanying David, who has just revealed that he's some kind of maniac, and
they're all perfectly fine, all best buddies. Let's just crack on.
And she just goes, yeah, all right, yeah, okay, I'll come with you.
It's perfectly all right to work with maniacs. Just look at Stalin.
Yeah, and so off they go back to the temple,
back to the future.
Yeah, and despite all of this shit that's been going on, Idris seems completely oblivious to all what's happening. Right, Captain Yannick doesn't seem to know that
scans of the ship and
but all of this stuff happening. There's obviously this medical procedure has occurred on the ship, and there's a lot of gore splattered around that particular. Nobody seems to notice this. And they head back. They all head back to meet the engineer, don't they? Because Wayland believes the engineer is going to is going to make him immortal. At least, I think that's the plan.
Yeah. The engineer is going to,
with having no proof that they're immortal themselves,
give him life.
Yeah. I mean, there are actually quite a lot of strange leaps of faith that are made. I'm going to call them leaps of faith.
If you're immortal,
made during this film.
Why would you need hyperspace sleep chambers?
They didn't create life. They bioengineered. They took what was there and changed it.
Yeah.
So the whole argument as well of, oh, we now know all you need is a blah 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 to create life. It's like, no, living body, biochemical agent. He drunk it. He changed and went into the ecosystem, and the life that was already there adapted. Yeah. So they didn't create life.
No,
and they're not immortal. On what part of this? Until Wayland says, "Oh, I'm going to see if he's going to fix me." On what part was there any hint?
Well, there wasn't
even a possibility.
That's the strange thing.
It was Elizabeth Shaw, and
well, this is where her whole backstory kind of comes, isn't it? Because there's a number of instances where she jumps to a conclusion based on zero evidence. But if questioned about what makes you say that, she gets to say, it's what I choose to believe, because that's what her daddy told her many moons ago in a flashback sequence.
She wears a crucifix. It's all about.
Oh, even that scene. Are you going to take your cross off now? No, what? Where did that conversation come from? It's like, Oh, we'll have to get some religious overtones. That's
Yeah.
sure, okay.
But
Right in
here we
there.
go. Yeah.
You will believe with that copy of Watchtower.
But that's the reason this whole mission takes place is basically, if you recall, right at the start, Shaw is saying that they created life here.
Mm.
Now there's no evidence for that. That's not what they found. They found paintings,
Yes.
drawings on walls, and we're told it's a map to where they came from, and they were inviting them to go visit. Doesn't mention anything about creating humans or any of that, but she's jumped to that right at the very, very start of the film.
Yeah, because this is 2091, so they would have had the History Channel.
Yeah.
On
For a
archive.
long time.
Yeah.
And they could have just watched every episode of, what was that, Aliens, or
Ancient Aliens, is it?
Ancient
Is it
Aliens, that's the one, right? So there
Yeah.
you go. That would have actually been better research than what Shaw's done.
Well, yeah. It's like cave paintings of some guy doing a Nazi salute to 7 dots or whatever it was.
It's
and
like,
that means they're inviting us to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go for the third time. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Go ahead. Go for your Alien versus Predator.
At least in Aliens versus Predator, the campaign that's made more sense. Oh, fuck.
You know what? Do you know
look,
what? Is it me? Is it me, or is Colin having a bit of a revelation?
No. Look, I feel like I need to step in here and just point out to
Help
anybody
me.
that watching this that Colin is not saying that Aliens versus Predator is a good film.
Oh, no.
That's not what he's saying.
No,
What is he saying that it is?
Don't
He's
ever
just saying it's
accuse me of that,
better than
please.
this.
It happens to be better than this. It's like, did you? Yeah, I've heard a scrape in the barrel, but I'm pretty sure you brought some splinters up with it. Then, my God. No, there's a bit more in the corner.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's about faith. It's like Elizabeth Shaw chooses to believe that aliens pointing at dots mean they had created us, and Mr. Wayland is rich enough and stupid enough to believe that what she says is the truth.
yeah.
Honestly.
So anyway, if you think about the
that was
whole
the case, why was Vickers there going, "Use our employees, I am the big boss"?
Yeah.
Like, fuck is this?
I honestly think she just wanted to be there to laugh in Wayland's face when he's proven wrong.
Impression that she's basically wanting him to die because she wants to take over, right?
Yeah,
that's everything's going to go to her.
The company.
I mean, which is a base
Victory's
motivation.
only an airlock away.
Yeah,
it's
like, even before they left the Earth's atmosphere. Whoops.
Well, why isn't she just kind of like
switch?
All she's got to do. All she's got to do is have like a bit of an accident near the plug socket while hoovering, and all her problems are solved.
She's got the mop bucket. Oops, knocks his plug socket out.
Oops.
Yeah. So Phil is still here trying to convince us that this is all all meaningful.
Oh, I agree with what it says about Shaw is driven by blind faith. Wayland is blinded by science.
I think that they're both blinded by poor script, and
that's the problem. The script is not. These could be interesting topics, and it could have been an interesting theme of religion and where's our creator and where we just that was a whole interesting thing. The movie doesn't address any of it.
See, the bit during the briefing where like the hologram of Wayland is like, who are we? Why are we here? Where do we go when we die? They're all like proper, like really serious philosophical questions. And then it's just kind of like, right then, you two on stage, and walks off. It's to which what's his name? Hatfield. So he's kind of like, wow, I've never had to follow a dead guy before. He hasn't been in some of the comedy clubs I've seen.
So we have our meeting with the engineer, don't we? Which they made the surprising decision to not subtitle the conversation that David has with the engineer. I'm
using the excuse that it's such an old archaic language. it was impossible to subtitle because they were the only two people who could speak it.
Well,
No, because David could speak it, and he used
David
from
learned it on
languages
the
of
way.
Earth.
If you think, if you've got David on one side speaking it, he's part of the conversation. You've got the engineer on the other side of the conversation also speaking it. There's no third person there to translate it, to subtitle it.
No,
this is logic.
So, so they have this conversation that it doesn't last very long.
There is a cutscene
and yes, there is
makes no sense.
There is a deleted scene which does actually have the conversation shown to you, so you can at least then understand why the engineer then turns around and rips David's head off.
Predator, or what is it? Michael Bay did it better.
How?
Now
here you go.
No one, do you know
Michael Bay did it better? That's a sentence that you're only going to hear once.
Do you know, at least in the scene in Transformers where the alien's speaking in Cybertronian and then it changes the English? At least that was quick and sharp. And
oh, okay.
The Predator did it better too. Because at least I had some sort of doohickey.
I remember a scene from a program I watched not long ago where there's this guy who's been stuck in this prison in this alternative world with a bunch of convicts, and these convicts are talking their language. So when he goes to meet like this knight to try and talk for his business, he's like, "Hey, you shithead, let me fucking out of here! I'm going to bust your face in." And he thinks he's talking the normal language. I think that's what he thinks he's asking nicely. He thinks that's the problem. Everything that David learned were the wrong words.
Oh, and this is like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of thing, where he says something and the engineer heard him saying something insulting about his mother.
Your mother, it started off with your mother's so fat.
So
I will keep believing that because it makes me smile.
Anyway, if you've seen the cutscene, you may or may not have a better understanding as to why the engineer decides to rip David's head off. Maybe he just found him creepy. Maybe David just leaned forward and said, "I'll do the fingering," and that was enough. The engineer rips David's head off.
I've already fingered all of these people behind me. I can finger you too.
and then
because he technically has, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like he's fingering Wayland, he's fingered Shaw. I'm pretty sure he's fingered Vickers.
I know what he's been doing while they've been asleep.
He fingered Wayland's feet.
He did.
Yes.
He was.
Yeah. So my argument stands. That's what he said.
So,
and I would rip his head off too if I had this weird bloke come up to me and go, "I've fingered these three behind me. Look at them. I'm gonna finger
you." So, and then the engineer goes on a bit of a rampage, doesn't he?
Yeah, just complete full retard. Super advanced alien species.
Yeah, and so we then have a scene, several scenes here of well, we know that Shaw runs away, makes it back to the Prometheus
over every so often when the plot remembers that she's just had major surgery.
She's just been sawing off, yes,
and also the
she
alien
just about as well. God, don't forget.
Oh well, she manages to do some quite good jumping around when, as we find out that the Captain Yannick at this point has discovered, which none of the scientists could figure out, that this is actually an alien spaceship that's half buried underground, right? The temple, and the alien, the engineer activates the ship because he's got to complete his mission that we've discovered is to destroy all life on Earth. Or something,
or change it, or
do something with it.
It's almost like we've created life on Earth. Oh, that was a bit of
and we've reached a conclusion that the ship is actually a weapons factory, and it's loaded with this black goo, which they're going to bombard Earth with for some reason, which maybe has been explained in one of the deleted scenes,
or maybe only exists in Ridley Scott's mind.
Yeah, So we know that the engineers actually have bad intentions to our planet. And the engineer, the one remaining engineer, has decided that he's going to complete the mission after all this time, and activates the ship. And we get this scene, don't we, of as Shaw is running away, bearing in mind that they've been traveling to and from the Prometheus to this temple.
Once again, depending on the plot, the distance changes between the Prometheus and the ship.
Yeah, she decides that she's going to run all the way back to the Prometheus while the ground is opening up. It turns out like massive doors or something.
Yeah, like by
to an underground hangar, isn't it? Which she's managing to jump across these big gaps that are opening
when
up.
She can only run like 5 meters down a corridor before having to double over and excruciate
pain. Yeah,
she had major surgery.
Exactly, and but then she manages to contact Captain Yannick and tell him that this is bad. This is really bad. They're going to destroy the Earth. You have to stop them.
This isn't a warship.
Yeah, there are no weapons on the Prometheus.
Well, apart from the odd flamethrower, you know. I mean,
yeah. And so we know this is where we find out just how good Captain Yannick and his crew are. That they are truly noble, heroic individuals.
Heroes.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Yeah. And
what I will say, Shaw has better dialogue than "There's a tempest in me." Okay, right. So we now find something that this movie's better than.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, at least it wasn't that.
Yeah. So yeah. This isn't quite as ridiculous as Galadriel swimming across an entire ocean in the Rings of Power.
I've yet to see the Rings of Power.
But she radios.
I'm thinking of skipping it.
Yeah. Just
yeah. It's a very strange series. And Yannick makes a decision that he's going to crash the Prometheus into the alien ship, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Sacrificing himself to stop it from reaching Earth, which is, a noble, heroic endeavor, and we applaud.
Was anyone else singing "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing"?
Oh dear! I was having like Star Wars flashbacks actually.
Oh God, General what's her face?
Oh, Holdo.
And the Holdo maneuver, which completely rewrites how hyperspace works in Star Wars.
Oh God, yes. No, I was just going to don't want to close my eyes and I miss you, babe. Sorry, I was just thinking of Bruce Willis, heroic ending.
Oh God, Armageddon.
Oh, did you not? Were you not getting that reference?
I didn't get until you said Bruce Willis. Kind of totally off topic, totally different film. But do you know the bit at the end of Armageddon where Viv Tyler and what's his face? Because I'm useless with actors' names. Are getting married.
Ben Affleck.
And there's that cardboard cutout of Bruce Willis at the front. That is some of the best acting he has ever done. So lifelike. It was amazing. Sorry, but meanwhile, aliens.
I'm going to go back to that. I mean, I'm one of the few people, it seems, that actually really dislikes Armageddon and thinks it's utter shite. Everybody else seems to think it's amazing.
It's a boys' best adventure book film.
Yeah, it's just a popcorn brain shiny lights.
My ultimate favorite bit in that film. Sorry, I'm making the pain last even longer. Is the bit where the amateur astrologist is like, it's like the person who discovers it can name it. Yeah, the person is, yes, sir. What would you like to name it? I'd like to name it after my wife because she's a soul destroying bitch from which there's no escape. That is just, it's just kind of like, it's kind of like stand up salutes, my hero.
Here, is everybody on YouTube buggered off? Because the only person talking about is Phil on Twitch. Like, there's loads of people watching at the moment, but everyone on YouTube just went, "Nah, I'm out. I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
talking about this anymore."
We've numbed them all.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
Wait,
It's my fault.
yeah, these
My
guys
fault.
have gone on for
It's my
far
fault.
too long
It's my
about
fault.
this
It's my
movie,
fault.
for
It's my
God's
fault.
sake.
It's my fault. So let's be
Actually, I
fair.
think the best thing about Armageddon was actually the music video, which seemed to have the best bits of the film in it.
Yeah, that was it.
It's
gonna
like,
go with it. Will.
it's like the Prometheus review. It's so bad we've started talking about Armageddon.
About a different film, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so with that, yeah, and Prometheus crashes heroically into the alien ship, the engineer ship, and they accomplish their mission.
Does it crash or does it more bounce off?
No,
Yeah,
it smashes into it and explodes, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the ship just kind of goes.
Ship just kind of goes
Yeah.
whoops and falls over sideways.
And it does, and turns into the big spinning Ferris wheel type thing. The Ferris wheel from 1981, if anybody happens to remember that film.
What am I thinking of? Ah, God, what's the really downhill scene?
Oh,
is it one of
Pirates of the Caribbean? No?
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
God.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
God. Oh God.
Or the Hobbits.
Oh Jesus.
Again, the Hobbits in the barrel scene, which is
Oh
the most
my
tragic fucking scene ever.
They've taken the Hobbits to LV223. Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, the alien ship turns into a giant wheel that starts rolling across the landscape.
Don't forget, we've got the whole escape scene as well.
You want to talk about
in here?
Charlize and the escape pod, or which
drama?
Bit are we?
What the hell was that about?
I'm
so
amazed.
She gets into the lifeboat to get into the escape pod. In the lifeboat, they eject. What?
They ejected the lifeboat before she had a chance to get into it. So she jumped.
Otherwise known as Wayland's bedroom.
Yeah, Wayland's bedroom. Yeah, they ejected that first.
Yeah.
And then they give you've got 40 seconds to get. I'm amazed you could put a spacesuit on in less than 40
I mean,
seconds.
that was pretty good. You got 40 seconds to get off of the ship.
So
she manages to get down to the airlock or whatever it is. Managed to get on one of those really. Now I've put on a wetsuit, right? And it takes longer than 40 fucking seconds. I'll tell you that.
It was pre-lube. They've been very, very busy with the talcum.
The talc was already in it. Like they should have had her. Actually, this would have been comedy if you had a thing of talc and was like,
quickly.
Actually,
it was like just clouds of it in the airlock.
Bottle of Mazzella, quick oil.
Yeah, so she manages to get in and escape on the escape pod and land down on the planet. And that's just about time for the big engineer spacecraft to turn into a giant wheel that's rolling across the land.
Then it's a race between Vickers, Shaw, and the alien ship.
And Vickers and Shaw are running away from, which is, I mean, this is probably one of the most talked about scenes regarding Prometheus.
It's
unfortunately Vickers zigged when she zagged.
She didn't even zig. She just, I'm going to run in a straight
She
line.
didn't even zag.
She ran in a straight line.
It's like
Sean twigs on and goes, I know.
Yeah. Well, Shaw, actually, no. Shaw doesn't twig on. They're both running. And it's only because Shaw falls over.
If she hadn't fallen, she'd be like, I'm going to get crushed.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute.
And then, wait a minute. If I just roll over here
twice.
Yeah. If I just roll twice over here, I'm out of the way.
Then Vickers falls over and she's like, no, I've forgotten how to roll over. And he goes,
squish.
But when you think of, if this was a flat surface, I would get it. But there's not many, like...
Well, actually, that's what saves Shaw later, isn't it? Because the ship the ship kind of tips over at the end and is about to crush.
How many tens of thousands of tons worth of ship gets caught by pebble?
Yeah, it gets held up by like a couple of bricks or whatever it is, and so she survives.
In my head, I remember it's one of those things like in the old like Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd films where the ship falls over and she just happens to be standing where the window is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like it lands either side of her. But I was like, did she actually get caught under that thing? I don't remember this bit.
Yeah, it steps out.
Oh, dear.
So yeah, so we've had what Phil has described as the iconic scene
The
of
comedy
Prometheus.
moment, the unintentional comedy moment,
Yeah,
as opposed to the forced comedy, which didn't land whatsoever.
right. Now, yeah, then I mean that's so it is just patently ridiculous, isn't it? That whole thing.
Just the scene, not the entire movie.
I mean,
There's a couple of different levels you could go with that statement.
Yeah,
there.
we've had.
Yes, that scene sits on the pinnacle of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's quite as dumb as the guy making the map losing his way while everybody else is able to just walk out.
The two rocks, man, rocks.
Yeah,
I came here for the rocks.
Right, I've worked it out. He was obviously angry Scottishman. Yes, angry Scotsman.
yeah. Okay.
He stomped
Was he not
off.
Australian?
He was an Australian Scotsman. I couldn't tell you what he was.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He wasn't Australian. I don't think.
You know. Oh, right. We need a non-American accent because we had a. Oh
We-
yes,
yeah.
We have an entire character here we have not mentioned at all.
Oh, go on then.
Scottish doctor.
The Scottish Doctor. The Scottish.
Oh,
We have completely spaced her character.
No.
now we haven't mentioned her for good reason,
She's normal.
and that she doesn't do anything.
She's
She
normal.
absolutely does nothing
All
in the
right,
entire
then
film.
The red-headed rock fetishist. Then he's obviously angry. He's channeling his inner Scotsman. He's angry.
It's Fifield, yeah.
He stomped this Fifield. He stomps to the door. He stomps to the door. When he gets to the door, I'm still angry. So he just keeps going. He just keeps going. But yes,
So-
the nurse. She's one of the only sensible characters in the film. The most important thing she does is put a mask on just before the alien's head explodes.
I mean, we don't know that she's sensible. This is the problem because we don't know anything about her.
I'm going to think this is like a punishment detail.
Yeah,
If you don't land your KPIs, if you're really performing badly in the company, well, you're going on that ship.
yeah.
You've got to be honest. Right. Next to the two guys who form the bridge crew, along with the captain, she's one of the most regular, normal, I trust this person kind of characters in there. Because everyone else has got massive hang-ups or is doing really weird stuff.
I mean, I'm gonna say that
She's
we
only got
don't.
like 6 lines in the entire film. I see
She but she doesn't. She's just there. She doesn't do anything really.
No, it's quite sad that she entered this film and her entire purpose was basically to be a standard lamp in the corner of the room.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. She doesn't
You
really do anything.
You could
The way we just completely
replace her.
forgot.
Yeah,
You could replace
I mean, and
any of
now
those
that you've
things.
mentioned
Taylor's
it,
dummy.
oh, she gets killed by the engineer, doesn't she? She gets battered by the engineer, and that's the last we see of her.
Yes,
in the
she's in the spaceship, like stasis room or whatever it is, when everybody else.
Yes,
Because
that's
it's like
right.
literally, she does absolutely nothing through the entire film and then dies.
Yeah, and then we don't know that she dies. She just gets knocked over, and
And
that's
Shaw
the
gets
last
knocked
we
over a
see.
few times and
Yeah,
manages to walk that off
Well,
Yeah.
because the plot didn't need her to bend over.
But the reason I say she dies is because she's spoilers here. Spoilers. She's not in Covenant.
no, well we know. Well, she pretty much dies because the alien ship that she is on crashes, I suppose. And at this point we find out that Shaw realizes she needs to escape and heads back to the lifeboat, otherwise known as Wayland's bedroom.
Yeah, plot device.
Yeah,
Because it conveniently lands where it needed to land. For the rest
perfect. I
Of this,
mean,
the rest of this movie to
no,
happen.
no, it's just because that's what Shaw chose to believe. All right.
The power of faith.
Faith.
Yeah.
Faith.
So she climbs into the lifeboat.
Really impressive considering she's still cut in half and only held together by staples.
She does a darn fine job.
And
then we find out,
don't
don't we, that this is where we find out that the alien creature that had been removed from her,
because we never saw this coming. Like a complete shock.
Well, it's that bit
this is the same level as Wayland's still alive.
She's putting like bottles of water or something in that bag, and then it just kind of clicks, and she's like, "Wait a minute, I've been in here before."
Yeah.
Did I leave something in here?
But we were all convinced, right, that the alien creature in the pod was dead. Oh, absolutely. Well, I think you would be forgiven for thinking that, because what we see is not the same thing that was pulled out of Elizabeth Shaw.
But let's be honest, like, this is over 2 hours into the movie at this point.
Yes.
Had you any hopes of some sort of coherent plot or anything
no,
making sense?
I mean, no.
Like,
I mean,
let's be honest. Like,
no.
if you haven't given up at that point, then you should go and lead a cult, because your faith in anything is amazing.
Looking at the size of the thing that they took out of Elizabeth towards the final kind of like, I call it like a face hugger with hips. It's like
is this the callback to regurgitations? Mama.
It's not so much a face hugger as just a hugger,
and it's really fucking big.
It probably gives the best hugs you have ever had. But the thing is, it's like, look at the size of that. To the size of Squid Baby, yeah. Then look at the size of like a chest burster to say an alien queen.
Yeah. But
that's some
more than 5 minutes. Is, I mean, and in the other movies, at least more than 5 minutes. Well, apart from regurgitations, but apart from some period of time passes. That's the whole point of the journey.
Kind of like time is as warped in Prometheus as it is in Alien Resurrection, where they build the entire thing in less than a day.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So, but this thing is really, really, really big. Now, how does this thing get to be so big in such a short space? Now, you could level this question at any of the Alien movies, I suppose, because I mean, for us as human beings to get bigger, we have to eat. We it's all energy, isn't it? We consume things and we grow, and the alien doesn't seem to have to do that. It just seems to grow big somehow.
What needs? See,
yeah,
you can in the original Alien and Aliens, you can kind of see it because time's passed. Yeah. So in Alien, when the chest burster gets out, it scutters off and has time,
finds food.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
In Aliens, this is an entire colony to munch on. So time's passed again.
If you've ever played the old Aliens versus Predator games, there's an alien mode that you can play. You start you start off as a face hugger. Then you go to a chest burster, and the first thing you have to do when you leave the body of the chest burster is find food.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's never stated, but usually what it bursts out of tends to be its food as well.
Right. Yeah. Although in Alien that didn't happen, because obviously it ran away leaving Kane's body behind. So
I'm thinking what it ate in Alien was rats, because that's why they had a cat on board.
I mean, who knows?
Old sailing ships used to have rats.
But leave enough time to make it plausible is what we're all saying. You can sort of imagine, suspend disbelief and go, well, it either absorbs enough nutrients from an entire human body or something, and then enough time that it gestates and grows.
I mean, it's not only that, but
in this movie,
the alien was free to move around the ship as well. So, like, maybe there were other things that it could have eaten or whatever. This thing has been stuck in that room for the last couple of hours.
Like hours, not even hours.
And
it's the same. No, it's either the same day or the day after. Because it does feel like when the events start happening, they happen in pretty rapid fire.
No, they do. But we also know that she's had surgery, then goes straight out with Wayland to go visit the engineer, and then the engineer is trying to kill everybody. So it's still
It's for the same
Must
day.
be
like,
within the same day.
It hasn't
Yeah.
been an overnight period. It's the same day.
The question is, in that exoskeleton, how long does it take Wayland to walk that kilometer to that room?
Oh,
Yeah.
right. They don't eat people. Right. I've probably messed that up.
What do they eat then?
McDonald's.
Well, that's
Something
the only thing I think of. They absorb the nutrients from their host, and that's
Right.
I know
goes to
they
the gestation.
they don't eat people. They eat Soylent Green.
Oh, they do eat people then.
Damn! Oh no! Soylent Green is people.
Ah, okay. So they don't eat anything.
Fourth
They
film
just
I got.
because I'm sure I'd seen something
Maybe that's
where
down to the
they actually ate
biomechanical
people.
thing, which
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, there is that. However, the squid thing is not
is not as
biomechanical.
purely bio.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so this thing, which didn't actually manage to complete its whole
That's true. It never burst
gestation.
either. It was prematurely removed.
It was, yeah, but somehow still manages to be massive.
Yeah.
When we meet it again,
Well, we
couple of
needed
hours
something
later.
bigger than the engineer to beat the
Well,
engineer.
yeah, fair
You know
enough.
what I mean, we needed Mega Godzilla to beat Godzilla. And like I said, at this point of the movie,
Who cares?
have your logic center not just given up?
I mean,
It's like-
I guess
That's
by
the
this
stick. It was
point,
like engineer versus big hugger.
yeah,
it was a
we're now in the realm of
It was a
making
pretty,
the plot move so fast you don't see it for the glare.
it was a pretty fair fight until Big Hugger revealed it had like 6 extra small tentacles.
where-
it could use.
Ooh,
Ridley Scott should have spoke to Jar Jar Abrams about where to put the lens flare in to distract people so we don't think about it.
there you go.
That's the problem. He didn't get enough. There wasn't enough lens flare.
Yeah.
A few lens flares, and you could have went, "Oh, shiny light! Oh, shiny light!" You know,
It's like, look at the pretty lens flare. What's happened? Oh, we missed it.
Yeah.
That's-
So we have a little
that's-
scene then. I don't know of the alien. It's got of the squid thing now massive, having a bit of a scrap with the engineer, and it's quite a grim little outcome of that as well, isn't it?
I think with his new comment, Phil may be stretching it a bit too far.
Well, it's protecting Mummy.
It's protecting Mummy.
Now, I did notice Phil had written a comment earlier on where apparently that was in the script that this thing was protecting Shaw because Shaw was its mummy.
It is kind of weird the way she opens, she now die, opens the door, and it just goes, "You're mine."
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, maybe this is along with Resurrections because with we see something similar there, don't we? At the end of Resurrection with Alien Space Baby and Sigourney Weaver.
yeah.
There was no need to remind us of that. There really wasn't.
But they tried to that movie tried to do it better. At least tried to make sense with it. This doesn't.
No. It's kind of a bit random and
here's the question: everything that makes sense about this movie is not in the movie. Every explanation about the movie is not actually in the movie. That's the mad thing about it. Like,
it's like so many things happen so quick in so quick succession, but none of them are really explained.
No, I think
when you go to see the movie in the pictures, they obviously should have done some kind of like leaflet or small book to guide you through it, in the same way that the Americans had with Chicken Run. Because to them, a torch is apparently a flaming stick.
there can be two things. Because funny enough, the torch is just an electrified version of the torch.
flaming stick.
It's Mr. McCready, fetch the torch. And they expected burning sticks.
Actually, yes, the deleted scenes do sound like just watch the deleted scenes and don't watch Prometheus. It might make more sense. And read the other script that didn't actually get performed. You know, the alternate script in the other universe. Do you think maybe that was all written down afterwards? Oh, hold on, we have an explanation for this. And the marketing team just got their crayons out.
Okay. So all of this has happened. This weirdness that it doesn't really.
Just before the fight between Big Hugger and the engineer
yeah.
is that bit where the familiar voice goes, Elizabeth, you need to run. He's coming.
Okay, yeah. So this is
Who's
David again, isn't it?
The engineer
Who seems to kind of switch.
Decapitated David. Just kind of like swaps teams again. And warns Elizabeth that the engineer is coming for her.
And she,
what I'm thinking? Right? I'm thinking member berries from Alien 3. They're just trying to reenact the. And
she's going like, David, you've betrayed me. You effectively killed my husband. In fact, you probably may have killed you may be responsible for the deaths of everybody here. You impregnated me with some alien spawn, and I've been cut in half and I've ripped out and I'm hurting, I'm in pain, and everyone has died and the ship has gone away trapped on this planet. You know what? I believe you. I'm going to trust you.
But it's okay. I'm only ahead now. There's nothing to fear.
After all, how can you finger someone if you
it wasn't my head, it was my bad body telling me to do things. My head's okay.
Yeah.
Poor Chaplin went through the same thing before he ended up upside down turning in the barrel.
So
that's what you do.
So she just kind of goes like, I mean, his argument being, what's he saying? I mean, basically that he can't. He needs her because obviously he can't.
She needs him to get off that planet.
To get off the planet. Yeah.
And then she goes through that basically. Why? What can you do? What could you possibly do? What can change the situation? And he just goes, "There's other ships." And she's like,
So the implication then, as this film ends, and she grabs the head of David, and the
random
abseil gear, which was never about.
It's like it's the bit where it's oh no, got to be the way around. It's when she puts his head in the bag and she's
abseil here.
No offense, I have.
Right, are you doing that with like a 12-inch wound stapled together in your chest? Those harnesses are a bit snug and do pull a bit.
It's like you go, I'm going to abseil down this cliff. You abseil down the cliff. I was abseiling down the cliff. It was really good.
Yeah, you're not doing that after. You know, I just love the way
after cesarean.
Yeah.
Oh god,
the plot changes.
And so you have a cesarean, and they say you're not to lift a kettle for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But I need to fight these aliens.
So she's told that there are other ships as well, right? Okay. And so the implication at the end of this film is that they're going to go and stop the other ships
or find the source or something.
It's a thing is, when he says there's other ships on this planet, does he mean like there's other ships or there's other ships?
No, he doesn't say they're on that planet either. He just says there are other ships. So I'm assuming that they're on other planets. They've just got these.
It's like the first thing that went through my mind is like there's more ships with the same kind of payload that one had.
Yeah.
Also, when it crashed, why didn't it blow up?
Yeah. So, well,
and they're saying that this is a weapons factory. It's a weapons factory, which would make sense. And that's what these are all.
Because there's
a weapons factory. Then it's a hangar.
Cargo. Yeah, it's
when you
the weapons are
like a bomber.
When you see it at the beginning of the film, where the ship is like the Prometheus flying, and it's like Hatfield, whatever his name, goes there, over there.
Yeah,
God, it's not in straight lines.
Hangar.
Two of them. I'm sure there's two, one just behind the other, one behind the other.
Well, I mean, assuming that was the case, why do they take off then? And now they take off in the alien ship that's just been brought down by the Prometheus crashing into it.
This is another alien ship.
They're taking the other ship, right? Of course,
they take the other ship. But the thing is, just like the entire film, there's no indication of how much time has passed.
No.
So it's like
they've just found this one. They spent all their time that, and then 5 meters away, there's another one which they just
do they just find the first ship they can go to or leave, or have they been going around the planet destroying these ships and these stations while while Elizabeth, who being a religious archaeologist,
Well,
can
it's a good
repair
thing that
Android.
they made another movie to explain all this to us.
It's just a shame they released Covenant instead of it, really.
Yes, that's right. That was meant to be Prometheus 2, and then somehow Covenant slipped in there.
See, that's just it. They could have made 2 movies out of this and explained so much. It's like there's so much crammed into the running time. It needs to be stretched out and turned into 2 movies. If Ridley Scott tried it, I'd kill him. But yeah,
It just needed to stick with one plot line and tell a cohesive story.
but the thing is, there's the archaeological plot. This is the archaeologist's theological plot line. There's what the hell David is doing plot line. There's
the Wayland
there's
plot line.
Vickers. There's Vickers the plot line. There's the Rocks plot line.
Yep.
Like,
And then there's the 10 years length to the Alien franchise plot line.
There's like 4, 5, 6, 20, 25, something like that plot lines. All
Have you ever seen somebody put up, like, they've never put up a picture frame of their life, and they get the 6-inch nail bump up into the wall? That looks nice.
Yeah, then they come up and they like tweak it a little bit to one side.
Yeah, and then they'll go, all right,
the other
okay,
side.
that's really bad. Let's get another one up. And then the wall is just completely cracked and
Plastic
you know what I
falls
mean?
off. Yeah, it's that kind of film. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so we found out there are numerous plot lines that are running through this film, and at the end, not one of them gets resolved at all. Not one. We go through the entire film, and we are no better off than we were at the start. We haven't learned anything,
Pretty much.
which I think is usually the sign of a bad film or bad story, isn't it? The idea is that something is meant to happen, and that you are changed at the end of it. Something has changed by the end of the film.
So I found out that my financial circumstances had changed because I was one cinema ticket admission poorer than I was when I walked in.
And 2
It
hours.
wasn't. Also, I was 2 hours older, and I would never get that part of my life back. But apart from that, it's black goo.
Yep, that's it. No, but that's what you do if you're a biologist and you're encountering something alien. You just, You don't know whether it might be a breathable atmosphere, but are there biological hazards or spores or diseases you've never encountered before? Don't worry about that. Nah.
Yeah.
I was thought the point behind being a biologist in this universe was to say things like, "Oh, look at you! Aren't you cute? Oh God, it's killing me." You know, he got oraled to death by a giant snake thingy. It's like, okay.
Coochie goo.
Yeah.
Why? I'm going to take my helmet off.
So,
basically, it's not so much a film as it is a documentary on how not to survey a planet.
It is one of those public information films, isn't it?
That's what I said. Mr. Musk needs to be taking notes.
It's like
a training video. Do you know, like a comedic, the ones you watch when you're doing manual handling or forklift training or
forklift training. Yes.
This is the Hazards in the Workplace movie for space exploration.
It's the forklift training one was in German. It was the best one ever.
Yeah. So,
this silly
book
is far superior to like half the movies in this franchise.
It is without a doubt the Aliens Role-Playing Game by Free League is without a doubt the best source book on Alien ever released. The current Alien, before it changes to the non-engineer universe, and they need to release second edition.
Well, I mean that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Whether things are going to change for them.
God, I kind of hope when Romulus comes along, it just kind of like.
Do you know what would make my heart happy?
It invigorates the entire series.
The next movie comes out and has the Free League logo on it. So actually, the next cinema release, and then writers from Free League publishers, I'm like, oh right, because I know they give a shit.
It's the thing that worries me about it's kind of like Alien, good film. Aliens, good film. Aliens 3, bit decisive. I think it's a good film.
It's a good film that was hampered by
Yeah.
circumstances.
Alien Resurrection, watchable, but a bit oh dear.
A lot of beer. Not a bit.
Prometheus, I actually think is a step down from Alien.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
I like Alien. Look, I like Alien Resurrection just because of the bit about 10 minutes in where you have 5 minutes of Sigourney Weaver without clothes, writhing in a paper bag.
Do you know what? That's so.
You know, he's a simple man.
I'm a simple man with simple taste. But the only problem is you can't bypass. You can't buy paper bags.
With 2 semi-naked chicks in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really nothing, you know.
I think Alien Resurrection is about on the same level as Prometheus. It's not an aliens film that you watch to take seriously. I'm pretty sure there was meant to be more humor in this than comes through for the film. But then it's like you get to Alien Covenant and the entire franchise just it basically it's kind of it ends in the way that Tolkien, it ends in the way that the Lord of the Rings ended, you know, falling into Mount Doom. It just kind of the entire franchise just fell off a cliff into free fall. I'm pretty sure that I'm just hoping that like when they made Covenant, it's like the Alien franchise fell off the cliff and actually hit the bottom so it can start climbing up again.
I think that's what
it's like because if Romulus comes along and it's kind of like the same kind of like I've always got this worry about film trailers because I see film trailers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They only put the best bits in film trailers.
And the teaser trailer gave me hope, right? But
Yeah.
the full trailer had me worried.
Because what if the teaser trailer is like only the best bits? Because I want Romulus to be good. I want it to be.
Worried you most about the new trailer then, Colin? What was it that in there that made you...
I did a full breakdown.
You did, yeah.
So I basically went for, and every scene was a member berry, and you could pick it to the exact scene of the previous movies. You could pick the bit where Newt is getting hunted by the Queen. They've got that bit in. The bit with the face hugger, you can put that back to the bit where Burke put the face huggers into the the sleep chamber. Even the motion tracker.
Phil's got his priorities.
Teenage Ripley, yeah, you know what I mean? And they do the same with Colin. They have this like caricature of what they think Ripley is in modern times. So with another discount Ripley.
Yeah.
Is it Catherine Waters?
I don't know what her name is.
Waters, yeah.
But you know,
I'm hoping it's just I am really hoping it's not just kind of like a retake of scenes. I hope it's not just a retakes of scenes from the other films.
Now, yeah, it's kind of a weird one because I mean that it triggers the nostalgia a little bit, doesn't it? When and it's when why I
you have to worry. You have to worry that the substance isn't there.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I didn't mind The Force Awakens as much as what followed because it was basically a lot of it was a rehash of. And it's what people wanted, I guess, from a Star Wars film. It was because it was basically Star Wars.
Yeah, I've got to stop this. I'm agreeing with what Phil's saying as well.
Again.
Alien
Isolation.
Alien Isolation is a brilliant alien film.
I need to get back on that and finish it.
Alien Isolation is great.
I've done 3 streams on the channel so far. I need to get back on and get that bloody finished.
It's also it's got the fear, it's got the tension from the original film.
Yeah.
Which I think all the other Aliens films have kind of lacked. I mean, I liked Aliens because Aliens was a suspense film. Because like it slowly built you up to the moment, and it just relaxed you just for a second before jumping into something scary.
That's the deal, isn't it? There are the calm bits between the action scenes because that's the whole point. The action scenes are release. It builds up the tension. You have the action scene. There's the release, and then it's you get back into the tension building again.
I think that's what this movie tries to do as well. It does all the flashy lights and trying to keep people up here at this level.
I think that doesn't
work.
No.
When it needs to bring it down, you need to put it back up, and
that's pretty much it. Because as soon as it kicks off, that's it. It just keeps rolling then, doesn't
Mhm.
it? And
Yeah,
there's
it's like-
no
it's like,
there's
this
no
guy's dead.
opportunity
He's
for
in
the
our bed.
tension to
Now
get
this guy's
built
dead.
back
Now
up.
she's dead. Now it's dead.
Yeah.
Now the engineer's dead. The big squid thing, this thing, the other thing, they're leaving the planet.
Yeah, and then
And
and also the characters. No, you don't care about any of the characters either, so you're not worried about any of them because
Cast
most of
is
them are
70
on,
plus.
you know,
Movie isn't really a good idea.
I would say most of them aren't on screen long enough for you to make any kind of. I mean, that was
they never develop them. The only
like-
one that kind of gets a little bit of development is Fifield at the start, who but it's just poor. It's just so bad. The
I just woke up.
characterization's
Leave me alone.
terrible.
That's
Yeah.
me every morning. It's like that, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like Alien, really small crew, plenty of downtime, plenty of time to get to know them before the action starts. Aliens, exactly the same. It's
Yeah.
like you get to know the members. You get Hicks, Hudson. Somebody wake up Hicks. You know,
That's it. Yeah, you get all those things, little
Sergeant
character bits.
April. You get to know. You get to know all of them.
Yeah.
Alien 3, yep. Again, yes. Alien Resurrection, not really.
No.
You don't really get to know.
The problem with
characters in
Alien
it.
Resurrection is all of the characters, and Prometheus does this as well a little bit. They're all caricatures. They're not.
Yeah.
There's nothing genuine about any of the characters. You don't
Alien
naturally
Resurrection-
like any of them.
Movies.
Yeah, Alien Resurrection. My favorite characters were Cole and the one in the wheelchair. Damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were my two. My favorite characters in Alien Resurrection doesn't even include Ripley. It's two
because
we're not because
we were never quite sure what character she was playing. I guess
About three different characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't rooting for any of the characters. I found them all irritating, much like they were in Prometheus. They were all annoying, and you were quite keen to see them get killed. That was the problem. You weren't bothered about any of them surviving because they were all dicks. And Prometheus has the same problem. It has the same problem.
If everyone had died in Prometheus, and you'd have just seen like the camera panning back away from like the scene of desolation into space, seeing the planet orbiting around its gas giant, it would have been exactly the same ending, seeing the alien ship take off and David and Shaw heading into space. Do you remember I said at the end of Alien Resurrection, where it just left like Cole and Ripley standing on the surface of the Earth, and I said that would have been the perfect jump off for a television series.
Right.
I think exactly the same thing in Prometheus, where you just see the alien ship lifting off and heading off into the sky. That would have been the perfect jump off point for a television series of Shaw and Michael, space commandos running around blowing up all these weapon facilities and things.
But that's what we thought we were going to get. And
we got Covenant.
Oh god, this is going to be a fun conversation.
I've got to watch Covenant. Do you know what? I think I'd rather have Thrush.
Well, you're not going to get that opportunity.
Have Thrush while watching Covenant. At least you'll be distracted.
I remember what happened. You know, it's. Oh no! I've got to work. God, I hate you. Right. I have watched most of the Alien films numerous times. Covenant, I've only watched once.
Yep.
See, I'd only watched Prometheus once. And this is the second time
now you've watched Covenant. Now you've watched Prometheus a second time. You're like, not as bad as the movie as I remember it.
Well,
I think I'm going to go watch Covenant, and I'll be like, yep, still bollocks. Yep.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. This is still a bad film. This is still a bad film. It's just I was probably expecting it to be worse than it was. Based on my memory, but
did rum help you through the film?
No, it was a little too early in the day to be on the rum. So I watched it stone cold sober.
That's a brave. My advice is don't do that with Covenant.
I did.
I've got to be able to remember it to talk about it.
It's like if you remember it, it will haunt your dreams for the rest of your life. It's
So-
that good. It's that good.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Here's me at the moment. I'm sitting there thinking it cannot be anywhere near as bad as they're saying.
Oh.
Prometheus is
Oh,
shit.
let me put it like this.
You gullible
People are on
child.
clothes racks now.
It's like, oh.
Oh.
I kind of understand what they wanted to do with Covenant. I just don't understand why.
There had to be drugs involved. Like, honestly, these two, like, it doesn't. Well, right. Anyway, we will put a pin in that because that will be.
Yeah, we will find out. Yeah.
Oh,
Guys,
God,
If I'm still
7 days.
smiling,
Thank you.
when we
It's-
come to review Covenant,
yeah, this channel might be closed down after that because I may get murdered.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
If we hear me getting disappeared, then we'll know why.
I will hunt you down.
I won't
Well,
even
see-
feel bad about it. I'd be totally justified.
where I normally pop up and say, you know what, I just think this is quite a good movie. I am not going to be saying that next week.
I'm sure it looks very nice.
It's a it is a beautiful film. There are some really good moments in it.
It's sort of shiny, but no. Right. Anyway,
Yeah.
that will be next week's conversation.
Ooh,
Guys, thanks very much again. It's always a blast. Everyone in the chat there, Spicy Phil and Chris,
Chris,
thanks
yeah.
for joining in. And just even say until next time, keep up with the channel, do the type of tricky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.